Good good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Please delete as applicable because the internet is worldwide and time zones are a thing. A very warm welcome to the show, everyone. And could I get an audio check in the chat, please? Uh, Early adopters, we have the Ragnar Orange Spear. Evening, brother. Glad to have you here. And we have Sandstorm Communion. And who actually knows the village where tonight's stream is about. We've already lost one person. This is going great. Well, the other thing we've got going on is okay, some can hear me. Excellent. Sound good. Thank you. And we've got Sansom offering Ragnar Orange Beer a pop up some evening next week. I'm not quite sure what that is. I hope it's not sexual. But there you go. Anybody that has come over here from the Amigos News, a very good welcome to you. If you like my stuff, you will. And if you're not came from the earlier Amigos News stream, if you like my stuff on a Saturday night, you will probably like theirs also. We have Glenn Gunner jumping in from the House of Scrubbage. Pleased to have you here. And I think that's about it for the hellos for the minute. Yes, a bit of housekeeping. Ragnar Orange Spear is on tomorrow night. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he's starting at 7. He has Mouse Cat, also known as Mr. Meanet, on with him, so that will be a good conversation. So get yourselves over there. And that will be followed by, I presume, Scott's Armour. So it's always a good Sunday night stream each. There's Resisting the Liaison. What about you, chump? Glad to have you here. People are filtering in. It's all good. No sexy MG in the chat tonight. She's up for work very early tomorrow morning and has had a bit of a busy day of it. And is a bit sore from going to the gym before work yesterday and doing a boot camp. So she's getting the after effects of that. Although she's doing really well going to the gym. Spanish chicken. Always good to have you on board. Like a little bit of chicken. It's all good. I hope everybody's well. Yes. And obviously, Tuesday night and Thursday night, there'll be the John Davison streams. It's always good. 1 second. Oh, right. PA Talk. Glad to have you aboard. Really enjoyed the stream I did over with yourselves the other week. It was very enjoyable. Glad to see you here in the chat. Yes, Rags, no Emma G tonight. She's sleeping. We'll keep that in the house, Bass. You're not here. We'll keep that on the house for you. Don't worry. But anyway, I hope you enjoy it in the parallel universe. Yes. I'm trying to think anything else that I need to keep you updated with. I don't think so. I think that's about it. I'm going to get a little bit of a drink. Then we're going to get into it. Yes. Oh, wrong one. Oh. I was going to say drop the link, but Rex is already all over it. Yes, go subscribe to PA. That's a good. They do a good show over there. Sansom was saying that I'm going to find this comment. Wilton Gibbet, I know it well. A fine North Durham village. Yes, that's going to be on our first bit of our first bit of contents coming from your neck of the woods, Sansom, and it's actually very interesting. Just going to get the first link up now. Come on, let's see. Here we come. It's on its way. View. Yep, that works. Here we go. Just get the share on the go. Share screen. Chrome tab. There we go. Hopefully you can all see that now. Yep, that seems to be up on the string. What I'm finding, actually looks quite beautiful that we spot up there, nice and rural. So this weekend, when Bartle is burned in August, it's described as a fun weekend, something to celebrate and be joyous about. But who was Bartle and why is he ceremonially burnt on an annual basis at West Wilton? I had no flipping clue that this, like most of these events that I'm starting to find out about, I had no clue that any of this was happening. I don't know exactly what the problem is, but we seem to have a lot of stuff that we do on an annual basis in different places here, there, and everywhere that we never bother to tell anybody about. But so let's get into this and find out what it's all about. Bartle is a legend. Some people think that he was a sheep staffer who was caught escaping on the Penhill Crags, the 600-foot hill back in West Wilton, and put to death. Perhaps his body was burnt at the time. No one really knows. The lack of historical evidence has made a little difference to this centuries-old custom and gives the people of Yorkshire Dales village a reason for a party on a Saturday around about the third week of August, or the near Saturday to put my teeth back in, St. Bartholomew's Day. Today's Bartle is an effigy similar to Guy Fawkes, or the effigies made in Lewis Suckus for that of the bonfire parades. There must be a basic instinct in man that makes the burning of symbols of our enemies an exciting proposition. Well, we did about this a couple of weeks ago with the ceremonial burning of Lundy once a year. But at least we know exactly who Lundy was, the treacherous bastard. The straw-filled body of Bartle is dressed in meal-ruined clothing and adorned with a mask and sheep's wool hair and beard. He has glowing orbs for eyes, as if foreseeing the impending doom. Just going to come back and have a look. Sorry. Oh. Wrong Malton. That's in Yorkshire. We've got a couple of places with the same name. It's now you know exactly why I've never heard of it. Oh, eating the pie sounds good. Right, that's okay. Nothing else I really need to get involved with, so we'll get back to this. On the day of the burning, people gather in their hundreds at dusk to escort Bartle down the road to his fiery end. A chanter reads out Bartle's rhyme, followed by shouting and singing and stopping for frequent refreshments en route, all accompanied by another rendition of the rhyme. Burning Bartle can be thirsty business. By the time Bartle reaches his fiery furnace, vocal cords have been well lubricated, and the singing of traditional Yorkshire songs reaches its height. Poor old Bartle is sat down unceremoniously against the dry stone wall and set alight. A bit of merriment and singing follows before the Bartle followers disband to local hostilities. I'm seeing a similarity here with the Bury Man, where goes through the town and stops at set places for drinks with the locals. It's almost as if we've got harmonious people who have developed distinct local traditions that are quite similar. Burning Bartle weekend begins in a family friendly way earlier on Saturday with activities for the children, beginning with games, displays of rural craft, and contests, and there could be fancy dress competitions and games or anything else that the organising committee has thought up. For tourists, it's a chance to see old Yorkshire tradition enacted and a spectacle to entertain the holiday. West Wilton is a pleasant place to stay in the east of the Yorkshire Dales National Park, with the opportunity to visit Agasiff Falls, Bolton Castle, and other nearby tourist attractions. That was just for a very quick overview. I'm going to bring up another link that has a better detail of the whole events. Mannequin Skywalker, welcome. Glad to have you here. Exile Viking, hi up. Glad to have you on board. Yeah, that is a bit of a tradition, but in my personal opinion, the only thing that should be going on any bonfires of London, I would stick with that. But yes, there is quite a tradition of burning certain items of foreign nations. What is there a lot near Stoke? I know. Yeah, this is another thing. Well, we are having places that are uh, similar names or the same names used in different places. All right, and I'm going to gather up my next link, which is a better depiction of all this. But I wanted to one thing like always like the double source everything, and I also like to give an overview and then, if possible, a personal account of what's going on. Always find that to be quite helpful. Uh, After all, this is about people, our people, about what we do. So the more personal you can get it, I find the better. And to that end, I'm going to go with this next link. Chrome tab. And it's from a website called Only Forward. I don't really know anything about these people, but I think we can trust them on this. They've got pictures and everything. That's great. I'm just checking through comments here. Right. Sansom and Mannequin Skywalker are having a nice wee chat about places local to them. It's always good. So here we go. We've got a nice picture of these two guys here, on the right and the left. They are carrying this effigy. It's a full life size effigy. They've got him on the shoulder, drip between their shoulders, and they're carrying him through the town. And they've probably had a drink or two by a stage. And here we go with the story. This is a man's personal account of how he uh, bumped into this tradition. So here we go. About 3 years ago, as of the time I write this, back in 2015, I was driving home after a particularly long day at work when I was waved down, along with every other motorist, by a couple of men in fluorescent jackets at the entrance of the small village of West Wilton in North Yorkshire. I initially assumed that there had been some sort of accident that had blocked the road that runs through it. There are some nasty corners in the village western approach, and quickly got to thinking about how big a detour I would have to take when one of them approached my window and explained the situation. I was told that the road had been temporarily shut for half an hour due to a local festival being held, and that I could either wait or join in the proceedings. Others opted to stay in their vehicles in that crumdrudgery way that some people often have dealing with a light inconvenience. But I thought I may as well investigate, surprised that living so close by, I'd not even heard of this event before. This is another quite important thing because this guy's local there. He's been about the place and he's never heard of it. And this is not helping us keep our traditions alive because we need to spread the knowledge of what's going on and where a little better than what we do. I didn't take any photos, but I had a good time witnessing the little piece of local tradition. And now that I'm somewhat proficient with the camera, I decided to return and properly document the 2018 festival in all its bizarre glory. Like all good British festivals, it combines drinking, singing, lynching, and immolation in an equal measure. And what generally happens is this: every year on the Saturday closest to the 24th, a masked straw figured effigy of a man known only as Bartle is paraded by villagers around the streets of West Wilton while shouting cryptic doggerel verses bound for a small patch of ground next to some dry stone wall against which he is laid before being subsequently knifed in the chest and set alight while onlookers sing in triumph. They're not taking any chances. Right? They're making sure he's dead. And I like this. I like this picture. That's the one I chose for the thumbnail. And this picture here is one of somebody at a doorway bringing out some drinks for the merrymakers. And this is the uh, this is actually an audio clip of the poem that the sing that is shouted out while they're going around. Uh, you may not be able to make it out, but I'm going to give you the actual word each. Right. I'm just going to jump back into the chat here. Right. Just want to check. Could you actually hear that? That nice Yorkshire accent. Oh, don't get me started. That would be a very fitting thing for that for him. Sounds so much Fauci. Right. Perfect. Excellent. Right. Nah. As it was with the accent and whatnot, you probably didn't get every word. So The poem that they recite is: at Penhill crags he tore his rags, at Hunter's thorn he blew his horn, at Copperback Stee he broke his knee, at Gaslack Brack he broke his neck, at Warden's End he couldn't fend, at Grass Hill End we'll make his end. Shout it, lads, shout, lads, shout, and then they go hip hip hooray. So that gets repeated pretty much every time they stop as they're going around the town. The references are all local landmarks mentioned in descending order of altitude, seeming to suggest that Bartle fell from the top of Penhill before being finished off close to the village. As with many great folk customs, the origins of this one are hazy, as practices and stories have metamorphosized and blurred over the intervening centuries since the tradition's inception. Numerous theories abound over exactly who Bartle was and what he'd done to deserve such a fate. I've seen speculative links that he represents the Penhill Giant, a local legend. The Penhill Giant's a local legend. The village priest, chased and burned by its residents for reasons unknown. A prolific local sheep rustler, and possibly a scapegoat for the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre. Uh, Strange but true, I had never heard of the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre until I actually read this. So we're going to take a look at that very shortly as well. Uh, St. Bartholomew's Day massacre that occurred during the Reformation. The mystery is all part of the fun, but if I had to take a guess, I'd say the sheep thief is the most likely of these. The land around Penhill is prime grazing territory, and makes sense that he'd be caught and chased before being on the receiving end of some swift mob justice. Similarly, between the names of Bartle and St. Bartholomew, the similarity between the names of Bartle and St. Bartholomew is curious too. Possibly, whatever event occurred to incite the custom fell near the saint's feast day, and his name was taken as a subtle substitute. And there's another picture of Bartle going up the stone wall, and there he is getting burnt. Yep, there's somebody that's busy lighting Bartle, and he's got a nice wee tin of beer with him. I like seeing these small rural traditions kept alive. No one's quite sure why they're doing it. Only that it was important enough for the last generation to carry on, so they'll continue to do likewise. A large part of why they're doing this is it's called community. The things that we do together are the things that bind us together. Echoing ghosts of the past and into the present, an ever-changing ritual. Check back in another few hundred years, and we'll probably have mutated again, maybe with a robot Bartle. Although hopefully there'd still be a fire, a drink, and probably lasers too. They're still futuristic, right? And that's a picture of the effigy getting burnt. So there you go. That's Burning Bartle. Oh, Packers jumped in. Evening, Packers, sir. Pleased to have you aboard. Let's see. Anything else? Regs, we've already got enough. We've got enough potentials without using that one. I quite like the idea that he was the giant, but there you go. So that was Burning Bartle. I must say, I had never heard of the St. Bartholomew Day massacre, and what I am finding is whenever you start dig into our customs and traditions, you start to find bits of history that you don't know. And there's another thing. There's a lot of things that I know the name of, but I've no fucking clue what actually happened at them. So I'm going to start digging into them as well whenever it's relative to their the date. I want to try to keep everything I do on this close to or sort of in the week of the week that it happens. No. So St. Bartholomew Day Massacre. And let's get this up. Here we go. That's the link up, just get it shared to the screen. And well, this is the thought catalog one. I thought I had hold that result and take that away. I want the Britannica version. You need to zoom this in a little bit. Zoom in. Right. That'll do. StreamYard, get this share on. Share screen. Here we go. From Encyclopedia Britannica, which seems to be quite fond of advertisements. But there ain't a lot we can do about that. So, the massacre of St. Bartholomew Day massacre French Huguenots, Protestants in Paris on August 24th and 25th, 1572, plotted by Catherine de Medici and carried out by Roman Catholic nobles and other citizens. It was one event in a series of civil wars between Roman Catholics and Huguenots that beset France in the 16th century. Now, while I do try to concentrate on British history, this actually does affect us. Because we had the French-backed pretender to the throne, King James, and William of Orange not long after this, and it sorted out who was going to be our monarch, and the Huguenots were on our side whenever that was sorted out, and also a load of the Huguenots came to Britain, and I never actually knew why they did, but this would seem to actually be a pretty good reason for them to be coming over. The massacre of St. Bartholomew's Day had its background in the political and religious rivalries of the court of France. Admiral Gerard de Coligny, a Huguenot leader, supported a war in the Low Countries against Spain as a means to prevent resumption of a civil war, a plan that the French king Charles IV was coming to approve in the summer of 1572. Catherine de Mercy, the mother of Charles, feared Admiral Coligny's growing influence over her son. She accordingly gave her approval to the plot that the Roman Catholic House of Guise had been hatching to assassinate Coligny, whom it held responsible for the murder of Francis de Guise in 1563. On August 18th, 1572, Catherine's daughter, Margaret of France, Marguerite de Valois, was married to the Huguenot Henry of Nari, the future Henry IV of France. and a large part of the Huguenot nobility came to Paris for the wedding. The attempt on Admiral Cluny's life 4 days later failed. He was only wounded. To placate the angry Huguenots, the government agreed to investigate the assassination attempt. Fearing discovery of her complicity, Catherine met secretly with a group of nobles at the Tuileries Palace in a plot to completely ex- in, in a, to plot the complete extermination of the Huguenot leaders. So here we have a woman that fucks things up, and her solution is kill everyone. So much for them being the fair sex. In a plot to complete exterminate, in a plot the complete extermination of the Huguenot leaders who were still in Paris for the wedding festivities. Charles was persuaded to approve of the scheme, and on the night of August 23rd, members of the Paris Municipality were called to the Louvre and given their orders. Shortly before dawn, on August 24th, the bell of the Saint-Germain Auxerrois began to toll and the massacre began. One of the first victims was Conley, who was killed under the supervision of Henry de Guise himself. Even within the Louvre, Nara's attendants were slaughtered. The Nara and Henry de Bourbon, second Prince of Conde, were spared. The homes and shops of Huguenots were pillaged and their occupants brutally murdered. Many of the bodies were thrown into the Seine. Bloodshed continued in Paris even after the royal order of August 25th to stop the killing, and it spread to the provinces. Huguenots in Rouen, Lyon, Bruges, Orleans, and Bordeaux were among other victims. Estimates of the number that perished in the disturbances, which disturbances? You're calling this a disturbance? I think attempted genocide might be a better word. Could we maybe Google that? Which last to the beginning of October, have varied from 2,000 by a Roman Catholic apologist to 70,000 by the contemporary Huguenot Maximum de Blaise, Duc de Sully, who himself barely escaped death. Modern writers put the number at 3,000 in Paris alone. Yeah, I think it killed quite a lot of people. The news of the massacre was welcomed by Philip II of Spain and Pope Gregory VIII, because they thought this was great. Pope Gregory had a medal struck to celebrate the event. The Protestant nations were horrified. To explain the massacre, Charles, assuming responsibility for it, claimed that there had been a Huguenot plot against the crown. Yeah, those rat bastard Protestants that were murdered, they were causing all sorts of problems. Instead of crippling the Huguenot party, as Catherine had hoped it would do, the massacre revived the hatred between Roman Catholics and Huguenots and helped provoke the renewal of hostilities. No shit. Turns out you start running about murdering people, they tend to get a bit pissed off. Henceforth, the Huguenots abandoned John Calvin's principle of obedience to the civil magistrate, that is, to the royal authority, and adopted a view that rebellion and tyranny were justifiable under certain circumstances. I think they are, chum. I would. So that is the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre. Hmm. Yeah, killed a lot. Mannequin Skywalkers, who love our history streams. They're good. Billy Blogs is saying cheapers. Amalk, it's that Mitch. Hey mate, had to restart my laptop. My editor is awful. Right. Yeah, mostly peaceful disturbances. That's quite similar to the call at the call of civil war in Northern Ireland, the Troubles. These were disturbances. It's hmm. Oftentimes the monarch of the times has wanted to show leniency, but their wives have demanded death sentences, so it's so as not to become future opponents to their offspring. Yes, that I can get that. Right, just checking through this. Pack, if that's about the Roman numerals, I'm not too good with them. Jerry Delaney, welcome to the show. Exactly, Axel. They were French Huguenots who found themselves being murdered on orders of the French king, and they had to seek sanctuary. It was a massacre. The Campbells can fuck off. Yeah. uh, no, not actually me in the thumbnail. Uh, I'll have to get a picture of that blown up. There are bits of mechanicals inside this arm here. If you can see the cursor moving about, that's the whole cyborg thing. 42 being part man, part machine, and all that is why I chose that picture. Uh, Wish my back did look like that, but maybe I've started going to the gym and I'm using the equipment, not even the vending machines. So we're in with the shout. So sense of communion. Sense is from Macbeth and McDonald stuff. Needless to say, when my McDonald cousin was going to call his lad Campbell, I raised an eyebrow. He had no fucking idea. Uh, identify as I'm not a robot. I identify as an attack helicopter, and my pronoun is the machine. Uh, the main reason for that's a pretty men's rights movement thing. We pretty much all identify as attack helicopters, and there's enough of us doing that it's actually getting into the drop down menus as a bona fide gender because there's enough of us doing it. Right. Nah. Nah. Where else was I? We're flying through this stuff tonight. Uh, so after that blood and guts, yes, it's Plan FTSU. Fuck their shit up. Uh, they wanted to create all these genders that have got no they're they're just made up bullshit. So we invented a made up bullshit one and claimed it for ourselves. It's all good. Yep. Right. Now for something a bit more fun. I think the attack helicopter person meme, I believe, is an Apache. Actually, I will have a quick juke and see if I can get a picture of one up. Let's see. Can we get one? Images. Can't find the original. Nope. Can't find the chum. I'll have a look and maybe get that up next week. Uh, but where are we going? Where are we going next? Yes, something a bit more fun. Uh, we're going to bog snorkeling. Right, let's see. Here we go. Share screen. Share screen. Chrome tab. Fuck. Cancel. Helps you actually get the link up. 42, you plonker. Yep, this is the right one. Here we go. Share screen. Share screen. Share screen. Chrome tab. Here we go. Right door ahead. The reason why we're doing bog snorkeling this week is this is the traditional week for the World Championships in Wales. I'm going to come back to that being a Welsh tradition and something about that. Have you ever heard of bog snorkeling? Yes, you read that right. It's something to do with swimming in filthy water. You can bet it's quite popular among frequent snorkelers. So, what is bog snorkeling? Bog snorkeling, in its simplest form, is a 60-yard race along a bog trench where two or more competitors must complete two lengths within the shortest time. You're probably thinking of searching for the meaning of a bog to ascertain whether it's still what you know it as. A bog is exactly what you're thinking. Wetland with a great amount of dead plant material. So it's disgusting that the word bog is slang for the Brits to mean toilet. Save your scorn because this is one of the most thrilling sports today for snorkeling enthusiasts. So gear up as I take you through the basic rules and guidelines. Here we've got a nice picture of somebody in a wetsuit in a stinky bog with some sort of leaf coming up like a crocodile trying to eat them. You'll find a fantastic and adventurous activity among the long list of sports with a pub history. Like most sports with a background of beer, sweat, and mud, bog snorkeling was first played in Britain and Wales. In Wales' smallest town, Lanyard, Wales, in the year 1976. Since then, its popularity grew radically, seeing the first World Champions held in 1985 and later spreading throughout the continent to Ireland and Sweden and, and spreading further to Australia. So, bog snorkeling. The number one thing to do if you want to go bog snorkeling is dress apart. You surely don't want the nasty bog water anywhere near your face or hair. So here's a list of what to wear when snorkeling: goggles or diving mask, snorkel, pair of flippers, and a wetsuit. Pretty basic. For one, you shouldn't use any swimming strokes, but instead use your flippers. Practically, it's practically it's being put in a muddy pool and making your way through by putting power into your flippers and moving at the highest speed. Come to think of it, it's pretty much challenging to move in water without using your arms, and I bet this is where the thrill comes from. Or better yet, the reduced visibility of up to 6 inches of freezing water and water scorpions all over the surface. The other thing is these pools are not deep at all, so you wouldn't have room for your arms to go around in a proper uh, stroke. Remember, each participant must cover at least 120 yards along this muddy trench whose water is around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. I have no idea what that is in proper temperature. Paul, you got that in the head. Sometimes you do need to swim through shit. On a tangent, uh, whenever I went to Berlin, uh, oh, yes, there's a bigger what the fuck coming. So where was I? Yes, yeah. Sometimes you gotta swim through shit. Whenever I went to Berlin on my honeymoon, uh, and if you don't know what a honeymoon is, that's the holiday you go on after you have a divorce, and you make your own decision about where you're going to go, what you're going to do, without somebody going, "Yeah, you have to do this, that, or the other." So I went to Berlin, and I went on a tour, an underground tour, where they take you down into the down in this underground bunker that was used. Yes, a honeymoon for yourself. Uh, so I went on this underground tour. They took us into this place. It was used as a bomb shelter in World War Two. It was used as a Cold War base, and they have a display. The one night it was a display everything about people trying to get from one side of Berlin Wall to the other. Which, by the way, if you gathered up all the bits of Berlin Wall and brought them all back together, you could build a wall twice as long, twice as high, because there's that much fake Berlin Wall going about. But at least nobody'd have to die trying to get over the fucker. Uh, but they were doing this thing. So we're hearing all about the people escaping, and the first place they tried to go down through in the sewers was pipes that the big areas that only carried water, and the East Germans got those all stopped out of the way. Got that stopped. Then they were trying to go down the ones that carried water and feces. So the East Germans got those all cleared. So they were left trying to get down through the ones that were basically big ship pipes. I mean, we're not talking small. The big sewers that a person can walk through, but they had places in this where they had an iron grate against the wall. It was like bars of iron 4 inches apart, like like the rays of the sun that covered the whole thing. But they couldn't use that the whole way around because their sewage system would back up too much. So the bottom, like a foot and a half, was left open and went straight across that. Human paper. I've still got some bits of the wall. I, usually they just painted rock, broke them up, and flogged them. Yeah, it's John Le Carre's Looking Glass War. Well, so we had this thing, and you had a big series tunnel. You had this small gap, about 2 foot, and about 7 or 8 foot either side of that. It was just fucking clogged with shit. And yes, shit tunnel crawl. See, whenever the people got as far as that, and they had a choice of crawling through this shit or staying in East Germany, every single one of them decided to crawl through the shit. That's how good East Germany was. Uh, so that now we'll get back on track with our bog snorkel. We've done pretty much all of the snorkeling bit. Now, so you've invented your bog snorkeling, you've got your fucking 60-yard course and people swimming up and down it. Uh, you would think that's pretty much as far as you could go with that sport, but no. Let me introduce you to mountain bike bog snorkeling. This is actually a thing, and I have video. And a bid to bring more attention to the popular bog snorkeling place of origin, Gordon Green created the Bog Snorkeling Championship. It became a huge success, bringing the need for yet more challenging and thrilling related activity. So, what is mountain bike bog snorkeling? Mountain bike bog snorkeling is a version of bog snorkeling but with a bike. Think of it as cycling in a bog with your snorkeling gear, and of course, it has to be a mountain bike, so you don't need flippers. I'm gonna click this on.
Okay.
Now, that brings so many questions. One second, yeah, this this whole thing brings up so many fucking questions, such as what fucking idiot thought that would be a good idea? That looks like right. Get that out of the way before it corrupts Sansom. Yep, Paul, you tell him. Yep. What fucking idiot thought this was a good idea? And the other thing is, they're not even going deep enough to use the snorkel. Like, this is mountain biking on a river. It's not a fucking sport. It shouldn't be allowed. It's madness. Uh, and whoever wrote this fucking website is an absolute idiot. Mountain bike Bog snorkeling, however, is a bit more complicated as some modifications are done to your bike. Here are some of the modifications you have to make to participate in bike snorkeling competition. To ensure your bike stays down, it needs to be weighted. Does it fuck? Newsflash, people, bicycles do not float. Do not. Ask anybody that has rode a bike in this swimming pool. They do not float. They're straight to the bottom every goddamn time. Fill the frame with lead shots. Why? Attach the lead weights to the bike frame. Why? It doesn't float. Fill the tires with water. No. That's just a no. That is anybody to say. I was going to say anybody that actually does that are nuts, but then if you're going bog snorkeling on a mountain bike, you're not quite right in the head anyway. Apart from using snorkel gear, a mask and wetsuit, and snorkel bike, bog snorkelers must put on scuba weight belts. Why? They are not going to float. Uh, the World Bog Snorkeling Championship is an annual event which attracts people from all over the world to congregate in the small town of Linford, Wales, and Wales. Owing to the sport's rapidly growing popularity, no, it's not. There is also bog snorkeling events in Austria, Sweden, and Ireland. Yeah, you've got the four countries, people. Fucking excellent. The newest challenge is the Bog Snorkeling Triathlon, where you have an 8 mile run, 12 mile bike ride to top up the 60-yard snorkel. Fucking, they're trying to invent a sport that's not a sport. Uh, Bog snorkeling is a Welsh tradition where competitors must race through the bog back and forth without applying any swimming strokes. On the other hand, mountain bike snorkeling involves cycling through the marsh on a modified mountain bike. Here's a quite important thing. Uh, was surprised a holiday to reality. Yes, Mannequin, they could do with a little bit of reality. Hello, Anglo. Better late than never. Glad to see you, chum. Yeah, fucking lunatics. But here's the other thing. Yep, they need a bit of balance in their brain. That's where they need their balance, Sansom. You know, it's what I'm finding here is I don't know how many weeks I've been doing this, but the English traditions, like Burning Bartle, goes back hundreds of years. The Scottish traditions that we've seen, uh, like the Burley Man, goes back hundreds of years. The Northern Irish traditions we've seen go back hundreds of years. The the Welsh are doing shit that they invented 30 fucking years ago, and it seems to be they're trying to just have they're trying to create traditions that are not Welsh. It seems to be that's how they're trying to go. Well, one thing I will say is the people are actually game having a go at that. You know, uh, getting out there and doing something daft is quite a British tradition. We are we are quite good at that, but uh, I'm wondering when I'm going to come across a Welsh tradition that is actually old. Yeah, a bike that's been lying on water for quite a while is going to need so much change. You're better off just buying a new bike. Uh, Evening, Jarrett. It's a further dismantling of the Welsh culture and replacing it with nonsensical shit. Summed it up. That's my point. Now, don't get me wrong. The people that want to go and do bog snorkeling, I have no problem with that whatsoever. But if we could just hang on to some of their proper traditions as well, that'd be good. Uh, Now we've passed the madness. We're going to another bit of madness. Only this is better madness. This is good madness. This is traditional English madness. I'm not giving any clues. I'm just going to throw up the link. And let's just have a look at this. I actually like this. What have we got? Share screen. Share screen. Chrome tab. There we go. The Capwell Scarecrow Festival. That's what we're doing next, because that's what's happening this weekend. And this weekend in Catwell, there is a Scarecrow Festival, and this actually looks pretty cool. It does. Uh, it's not old, but it's not bad. Um, I'm going into history. Nice, happy Scarecrow. Back in Yorkshire again. Just I don't think of a lot of peat to extract. It is, chum. Ulster is a bit like it's like the UK 50 years ago. If you want to get in your time machine, jump over across the water, come and see us. Just want to check that there isn't anything else here I need to be getting involved with in the comments. Right. I hate that. I'm going to go into the history of this. I'm going to blow this up a little. Zoom in. I'm going to zoom that in again. Make this a little bit larger for anybody that's actually watching along. In the heart of Yorkshire Dales, we held our first Scarecrow Festival back in 1994 as a fundraising event for Catwell Primary School, which has played a vital role in the community for generations, serving the local villages, isolated hamlets, and remote farms of Upper Weirfield. There was no official trail around the village back then, but residents were encouraged to create scarecrows depicting their profession, which included farmers, of course, a doctor, a decorator, an electrician up a ladder with sparks fizzing from the fuse box, which became a favourite with visitors for many years. Thanks to such an enthusiastic response from villagers, more and more scarecrows started to appear every year in gardens and doorways, peeking over walls, clambering up drain pipes, and propping up in every corner of the village. Not surprisingly, the fame of the festival started to spread further afield, and soon visitors were arriving by coachload to spot the local scarecrows on a wander around this idyllic Yorkshire village. Over the last 25 years, the festival has grown from strength to strength, and we pride ourselves in the high standards of our creations and characters. who are usually easy to identify by young or old. We've had all kinds of themes for our two official trails, with fun clues specifically written for children or grown ups, from pop stars to royalty and literary characters to the Olympics. We've seen a croft in the village transformed into a ski run, canoe course, cricket pitch, a cricket pitch of scarecrows. That would be fucking cool. Imagine driving down a nice wee country lane, all of a sudden there's a full team of cricketers, scarecrows. Excellent. As well as a whole street filled with characters from The Wizard of Oz, Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, and the circus. We've also had a horse and jockey tumbling through our very own Beecher's Brook, and a giant giraffe, a lion, and an elephant outside the youth hostel. We are delighted that Catwell Scarecrow Festival now welcomes thousands of visitors from far and wide. Many have been coming back year on year, often first with their children and now with their grandchildren. We featured on TV shows like the Dales and Lakes, the Yorkshire Dales, as well as Radio 2 and national newspapers, including the Telegraph and the Daily Mail. See, this is how you actually grow something. Use bog snorkelers, you want to have a look at this. Do something that people actually want to see. And different. We have over 5,000 followers on Facebook, which is a handy place to find the latest news and more pictures. And we're on Twitter too. Whilst the fundraising for Catwell School, the Village Hall and St Mary's Church is needed as much, if not more than ever. It's the happy faces and positive feedback that still makes the effort worthwhile. And not only that, they're bringing new people into their village, which will bring commerce. Whenever people are there, they're going to be, oh fuck, check that out. An Elvis Scarecrow, a punter out swimming or fishing. Billy, I wonder will he catch any bicycles? Doctor Who and the Daleks. These are fucking class. I'm going to jump back into the. I want to have a look at these comments, just catch up. There we go. Hammock, a small village in southwest Durham, have a plethora of scarecrows all year round. That's cool. Skywalker. Man. A Heffalump. Yes, that is a fucking Heffalump. On a sofa. That is actually quite cool. So there you go. That is a Catwell Scarecrow Festival. Thought that was quite nice and interesting. Right. Now, what else have we got? I've got something a little bit more serious to have a quick look at. 1 second. And I just want to check where we're at here. We're at 109. Comments are good. We've got a bit of an anniversary going on. So, yes, get this up. Here we go. Can that Alfred just please fuck off? Thank you. Here we go. Yeah, we have a bit of an anniversary coming up here. It's the anniversary of the Narrow Water ambush, also called the Warren Point Massacre. Just check if this is up. Yep, it is. That's working. Get a bit of liquid here. Right. Let's go. The Warren Point Massacre, or Narrow Water Massacre, Narrow Water is its proper name, was a guerrilla attack by the Provisional Irish Republican Army, the IRA South Armagh Brigade, on the 27th of August 1979. The IRA ambushed the British Army with two large roadside bombs in Narrow Water at the Narrow Water Castle near Warren Point in Northern Ireland. The castle is on the banks of the Newry River, which marks the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. The first bomb targeted a British Army convoy, and the second targeted the reinforcements sent to deal with the first incident. 18 British soldiers were killed and 6 were seriously injured, making it the deadliest attack on the British Army during the Civil War. Let's be a bit fucking more correct with our terms. A civilian was also killed and another injured when British soldiers fired across the border after the first blast, because they came under sniper fire. The soundman will keep you in the. At 1640, a British Army convoy consisting of a Land Rover and 2 4-ton lorries were driving past Narrow Water Castle on the A2 road. As it passed, a 500-pound fertilizer bomb hidden in a lorry loaded with straw bales and parked near the castle was detonated. Loaded with straw bales and parked near the castle was detonated by remote control. The explosion caught the last lorry of the convoy, hurling it on its side and instantly killing 6 members of the 2nd Battalion Parachute Regiment, whose bodies were scattered across the road. There were only 2 survivors amongst the soldiers travelling in that lorry. They both received serious injuries. Anthony Wood, 19, the lorry's driver, was one of those killed. All that remained of Wood's body was his pelvis, which had been welded to the seat by the fierce heat of the blast. Immediately after the blast, the soldiers were under the impression that they were receiving sniper fire from the woods on the other side of the border, a distance of only 57 metres. The soldiers began firing across the water. An uninvolved civilian, Michael Hudson, an Englishman who was a coachman at Buckingham Palace, was killed by the soldiers' gunfire, and his cousin Barry Hudson was wounded. They had been bird watching on an island opposite the castle. The 2 IRA members arrested by the Gardaí and suspected of being behind the ambush, Brendan Burns and Joe Brown, had traces of gunsmoke residue on their hands and the motorbike they were riding on. So actually they were firing upon the soldiers. However, according to the Royal Ulster Constabulary researchers, the soldiers may have mistaken the sound of ammunition cooking off for enemy gunfire from across the border. What I will say about the historical inquiries by the Royal Ulster Constabulary and the Police Service in Northern Ireland is they are hell-bent on mitigating anything that the British forces did and exonerating anything that the Provisional Irish Republican Army did. On hearing the first explosion, a Royal Marine unit alerted the British Army, and reinforcements from other units of the Parachute Regiment were dispatched to the scene. seen by road. A rapid reaction unit consisting of medical staff, Senior Command Lieutenant Colonel David Blair, the commanding officer of the Queen's Own Highlander, together with his signaller, Lance Corporal Victor McLeod, was sent by Gazelle helicopter. Another helicopter, a Wessex, landed to pick up the wounded. Colonel Blair assumed command once on the site. I'm just going to all the best, Slim. I'm just checking through the streets. No, never, no surrender, fucking ever. Right. Second explosion. At 17:12, 32 minutes after the first explosion, a second bomb hidden in milk pails exploded against the gate lodge opposite the side of the road, destroying it and sending lumps of granite flying through the air. The Irish Republican Army had been studying how the army behaved after a bombing and rightly assessed that the soldiers would set up an instant command post near in the nearby gatehouse. The second explosion, caused by an 800-pound bomb, 800-pound fertilizer bomb, killed 12 soldiers, 10 from the parachute regiment, 2 from the Queen's Own Highlanders. Mike Jackson, then a major in the parachute regiment, was at the scene soon after the second explosion and later described seeing body parts scattered over the road, in the water, and hanging from the trees. He was asked to identify the face of his friend, Major Peter Flusen, still recognisable after being completely ripped from his head by the explosion and recovered from the water by divers of the Royal Engineers. Only one of Colonel Blair's epaulets remained to identify him, as his body had been vaporised by the blast. The epaulet was taken from the scene by Brigadier David Thorne to a security briefing with Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher to illustrate the human factor of the attack. Press photographer Peter Mulroy, who arrived at the scene after the first explosion, came close to being shot at by an angry paratrooper who saw him taking photographs of the dead and dying instead of offering to help the wounded. The soldier was tackled by comrades. 25 years later, Mr. Mully said, "I was shouted at and called all sorts of things, but I understood why. I had trespassed on the worst day of these fellows' lives and taken pictures of it." Two men arrested after the bombing, Brendan Burns and Joe Brennan, were later released on bail due to lack of evidence. I'm going to come back to that as well. There's another link coming up here. The Warren Point ambush happened the same day that Lord Louis Mountbatten, the cousin, strictly second cousin once removed of Queen Elizabeth II and uncle of Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, was killed by an IRA unit near Sligo along with 3 others. There's a bit on that. The bit I'm skipping over is a bit of opinion. IRA member Brendan Burns was killed in 1988 when a bomb he was transporting exploded prematurely. Good. IRA member Joe Bannon was jailed in 1982 for carrying out an armed bank raid to raise funds for the organisation. He left the IRA in 1986, went on to become a successful property developer and novelist. So there's that. Oh, thanks, boss. There's a huge graveyard at a place called Sandhurst near Tarrant, not the army one. I did ask Kitchen Freedom extension on the church. Uh, so the reason why I'm covering this is it is the anniversary, and it was in a world where we had regular bombs. That was quite a significant one. It was the largest loss of life for the British Army in that. Now, another little bit of information about that whole situation is this: nobody was ever convicted for that due to lack of evidence, uh, which seems a bit strange because there should have been lots and lots of evidence. And I'm going to bring up a little bit of stuff about that. Yep, that's up. Forensic scientists furious over loss of narrow water bomb evidence. I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. And again. Northern Ireland's former top scientist said he was furious that the bomb detonation site at County Leith used in the narrow water attack had been destroyed before he could gather evidence. What you need to understand here is the bomb was planted, it was pretty much on the border. So you've got a bomb physically located in Northern Ireland, and the people who are working the control for it are 100 odd yards away in the Republic of Ireland. 18 British soldiers died in the IRA bombing in 1979. Dr. Allen was giving evidence to the Smithwick Tribunal. It is investigating the murders of two senior policemen. There have been allegations of police and IRA collusion in the 1989 murders of Chief. Right. There are allegations of Irish police IRA collusion in the 1989 murders of Chief Superintendent Harry Breen and Superintendent Bob Buchanan, also in South Armagh. Dr. Hall said that when he first arrived at the detonation site in County Leith with the RUC officers 3 days after the atrocity, he could see a wealth of potential evidence on the ground. So the detonation site isn't actually a site where the bomb goes off. That's a site where they press a button to make the bomb go bang. He agreed with the Garda in charge that the scene would be preserved until the next day when he could return with his forensic team. But on his return, he found the area had been obliterated. The scientist said that it was like someone with a scythe had gone over the extended area. When he inquired what had happened, the Garda he had met the previous day told him they had cleared the scene looking for evidence. Dr. Hall said he was astonished. I was furious at the loss of potential evidence and of going to the trouble of setting up a whole team to do a job that was no longer necessary, he added. Asked if he thought it was done deliberately, he said it was either unbelievably incompetent or deliberately obstructive. He said he could not remember the name or rank of the officer he had spoken to. A legal representative for Anne Garda Shoshona said the forensic search of the area had been conducted by the Garda officers and over 60 exhibits had been collected and sent to the forensic lab in Dublin. Dr. Hall said that it had been a comprehensive examination when his reaction would have been different. But when I saw it, I could see that there was still evidence. On Thursday, a former RUC detective involved in the original investigation told the tribunal forensic evidence was lost when the site was interfered with. So what's happened here is you've got a detonation site in the Republic of Ireland. You've got the forensic evidence. One of those two fuckers that was on the motorbike had gorse from it inside his underpants. because he was that well didged down in it, and the Republic of Ireland authorities just went, yeah, we'll lose this information. And all I've got to say about that run of events is we do not forgive, we do not forget, and we will not leave the graves of our forefathers unattended. Unattended. Now, I'm sorry that this is getting a little bit Northern Ireland centric, but uh, one more, an hour and a half. Yep, this will not take long. Uh, so that was a typical day for the Irish Republican Army. We have a sports body in Ireland, supposedly a sports body, called the Gaelic Athletic Association. And the Gaelic Athletic Association are trying to say that they are not political and they're cross community, and we should all be fine with them doing whatever they're doing. In fact, unionists should be, treating them like any other sporting body. Uh, what I'm going to show you here is this news story is about, when was this done? This is from 2009. So there's been a lot more problems with the GAA since then, but these are the links from the Gaelic Athletic Association to the two terrorists, basically. Well, some of them. The GAA also president Tom Daly says GAA places and spaces have been places where everybody, irrespective of political affiliation or none, have been welcome. That's what their claim is. Are saying that GAA places and spaces have been places where everybody, irrespective of their political affiliation or none, have been welcome. Many of the tributes below were created independently of the GAA bosses and have announced they would cooperate with any government review. Well, do you know what? This is from 2009, and there are a lot more items like this on the cards than there was then. So Kevin Lynch, the GAA hurling club in the Dungiven, County Londonderry, is named after INLA member and former player Lynch. He was the seventh of 10 hunger strikers to die in 1981 after being sentenced to 10 years for stealing shotguns and conspiring to disarm security forces. Lynch was captain of the 1972 All-Ireland winning under-16 Derry team. Joe Cackle. An under-12 football contest is played at Cardinal O'Donnelly Park, West Belfast, in honour of the IRA veteran who died in 2004. Under-12s. Kids. Cahill joined the IRA at 18 and was convicted for his part in killing Catholic cop and dad of 10 Patrick Murphy in 1942. He is also a key figure in founding the professional Irish Republican Army. I don't know. You can have a think about it. Do you think under 12s want to be playing a football tournament in his honour? Because I don't. Bobby Sands, the Canon na Fusgley, fucking whatever. GAA club honours IRA hunger striker Sands, who grew up near its base in Twinbrook, West Belfast. The club's badge shows a lark, a barbed wire, and a capital H representing the H block in the maze prison where Sands, who was convicted of arms offences, and was the first striker to dry. There is also a Bobby Sands Memorial Soccer Contest held during the West Belfast Festival. I'm not even fucking playing your leprechaun language. Uh, Maria Farrell. A girls' camogie championship is played in Tullamore, County Armagh. Was named after the IRA woman Farrell. She spent 10 years in jail for bombing the Conway Hotel, Dunmurry, and was killed by the SAS in Gibraltar with fellow IRA members Sean Savage and Daniel McCann in 1988, with whom she allegedly planted a plan to bomb an army band. Yep, again, girls' camogie, not women's. Again, with the kids. Martin Hurston. A commemorative Martin Hurston Memorial Cup final is played every year at Gallowby Purses football field near Dungannon in County Tyrone. The fifth of the H Block hunger strikers to die, Hurston was arrested in 1976 and quizzed over the attempted murder of UDA soldiers in a bomb attack. The charge was dropped, but he was convicted in relation to several other charges. Martin McVeigh, the first member of the IRA in South Armagh to be killed in the Troubles. McVeigh was shot by soldiers in 1973 after placing a £100 bomb at a Curdy RUC station, helped by 5 men who fought a running battle with the cops after the device exploded. The Michael McCurvey Cup is played for in Cullyhanny, County Antrim each year. Lovely. Lovely. Jared and Martin Hart, the East Tyrone IRA brothers, were killed in a carefully planned SAS ambush in Drumkelly in 1988. Many branded it revenge for the Ballygolly bus attack 10 days earlier, which killed 8 soldiers and injured 27 others. Played at Loch McCormick, the Jared and Martin Hart Memorial Cup is now one of Tyrone's foremost under 12. Again, under 12s. Gaelic football tournaments. Lewis Leonard Memorial Park. The ground in Doe, Fermanagh, was named after IRA man Lewis, who was killed by loyalists in 1972 while working late in the shop in the village of Darrylin. It's not saying what he actually did wrong there. Loughgall Bomber Paddy Kelly. The Paddy Kelly Cup is played in Dungannon, County Tyrone, as part of a commemorations of the IRA Loughgall Martyrs. A heavily armed IRA unit, including Kelly and O'Callaghan, were trying to blow up a part-time police station in Loughgall, County Tyrone, with a 200-pound bomb when they were gunned down by the SAS. I remember seeing those cars, lots and lots of holes in them. And we're not done yet. McDonald Doherty Park, the home ground of St. Teresa GAA club in West Belfast, is named after hunger strikers and former players Joe McDonald and Kieran Donohan. McDonald had been arrested in 1976 with Bobby Sands following a bomb attack on a furniture store in Dunmurry, and Doherty was convicted of possession of firearms and explosives and hijacking. Jim Lurchie and Shane Campbell. The Lurchie Campbell GAA Park in Drumtree, South Armagh is named after IRA members Jim Lurchie and Sean Campbell, who were killed when a landmine exploded prematurely. Good. At Kelly's Road, Colleen, in 1975. Now, I am of the opinion that they don't sound like places where people of all or no political affiliations would be welcome. Yeah, unfortunately, there's rules, Billy. Unfortunately, there are rules, and the British Army, by and large, abided by them, as did the police. Who is funding the IRA? A shitload of Americans. Uh, there are there there still is lots of money coming from America. They also have their illegal activities, their uh, counterfeiting rings, that sort of stuff, uh, drug trade, arms trade. There's multiple levels. Right, right. Hide that current thing. So yes, I do not think that the GAA are like any other sporting organisation. I believe them to be the sporting wing of the Provisional Irish Republican Army, and they should not be allowed in polite society. So, and to finish off this week, oh, undo typing. Right, right. That's that back. To finish off the this week's the other cultural event that is going on this weekend that I know about is Black Saturday. And we're going to go through this very quickly. Share screen, Chrome tab. Sure. Yep, it's Northern Ireland. What would Northern Ireland be doing? Having parades. Royal Black, the Royal Black or the Royal Black Preceptory. They are a brother organisation of the Royal Orange Order. So upwards of 17,000 members of the Royal Black Institution will be on parade in 6 locations across Northern Ireland for the traditional last Saturday demonstrations held this year on August 26th. So last Saturday in August would be the Royal Black Preceptory's large event where they all go out and march. Approximately 350 preceptories, most accompanied by bands, will be taking part in processions in Cumber, Antrim, Castlewell, Lisburn, Omagh, and Auchnacoy. The Sovereign Grand Master, Miller Fair, who will attend the Castle Dawson Parade, said the institution was once again looking forward to the much anticipated day of the parading calendar. They are actually very good parades. They're very well run. There's nothing else really I need to tell you about that. I've told you where they're going to be. It's all pretty similar. You've guys like this with their banners and stuff. So, and you hear me quite regularly tell you what parades are like. No, it's definitely Black Saturday. Right. So that's pretty much all the planned content. And where we're in, we're 1 hour 40. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this in. If anybody wants to come in for like 20 minutes, half an hour, I'll do a chat for about 15, 20 minutes if anybody wants to come in. Uh, Feeling that we are pretty much done. Yeah, Black Saturday is the term that we use for it. And I heard the local lodges coming home not that long ago because I'm pretty close to an Orange Hall, and I heard the procession coming back. Ooh, you're teasing us, Billy Blogs, or not Billy Blogs, resisting the lies. He's got a story. Uh, yep. And like I say, I try to keep everything as close to on the date that it's happening. Let's see what else we'll have. Edmund. Yeah, my dad said he saw that while in the USA, Paddy Barsh collecting for the IRA. He said he almost got arrested arguing with him. Yes, that tends to happen. Yes, I'll tell you something else. Actually, fighting saying the IRA were never freedom fighters. They were gangsters who also killed their own people. The IRA, Provisional Irish Republican Army, killed more Catholics than any all the Protestant Unionist paramilitaries put together. But here's a point for you: a firefighter fights fires. A crime fighter fights crime. What the fuck do you think a freedom fighter's fighting? I'll tell you who they're fighting. They're fighting freedom. The first thing they do, and the other thing about terrorists, the first thing the terrorists do is terrorize their own community, because until they have their own community terrorized, they can't move about and do their business with impunity. And apart from anything else, they're not even resisting lies. Let me finish this. I should have finished this rant before I fucking
I fight it on.
right. Uh, where the fuck was it? Yeah. Oh, right. Yes. Provisional Irish Republican Army and Sinn Féin aren't even Irish nationalists. They're Marxists that are using that as a flag of convenience. And with that, I'm done. Resisting lies. What about you, brother?
I was just going to say what you were saying there. That's absolutely identical to the S&P, is it not? Same
Yep.
principle applies. Absolutely. Do you know what I find perplexing? Just before I tell you my funny story, which is like the most embarrassing thing I think has happened to me in a long time. See, when the local elections took place, just recently, you know, a couple of months ago, I noticed a pattern when I can't remember the name of the part. Is it Sinn Féin or whatever in Northern Ireland? They kind of got like the majority, but like one fucking vote or whatever.
Yep.
But it was like they're classified as nationalists, but simultaneously the nationalist leader, so to speak, would come out on their podium and speak of social justice. Same principle applies in Scotland. You know, it's blatantly hijacked nationalism for what it's worth.
Oh, but and it's not even that it's evolved into that.
I think it's deliberate. I think that's what's happening. Like it's to ensure that legitimate nationalism can never thrive or flourish.
But it's not even that. See, had they come out in 1969 and said that they were a communist party,
Yeah.
they would not have got anywhere.
No.
You know, they can't be honest. And now they've they were pretty quiet about it. I mean, the the IRA's aim has always been the creation of a one-party socialist state that encompasses the island of Ireland.
Yeah.
But they were pretty quiet about that. They were quiet about the socialist bit for quite a while until they got to the point where, well, they're you know, they've got this reputation for being socialists or for being nationalists, but in reality they're socialists. And to be fair, the Unionist paramilitary party, the Ulster Volunteer Force, their political end is called the Progressive Unionist Party, and they're fucking Marxists as well. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, I just that's what I'm saying. I think it's all done by design in the sense that nothing legitimate can flourish. You know, at the end of the day, it's like the powers that be, so to speak. They'll have every fucking possibility considered. You know, like you know, if Plan A fails, they've got Plan B, Plan C, etc., etc. They've got all avenues covered. You know, so that's why I think every single facet of the political realm, sorry, it's just dogs and ponies, isn't it?
I want to address what Edmund here said. Why are Sinn Féin, SNP, Basque Nationalists so Marxist? Well, very interesting thing. 1968 or 1968 or 69, whenever they a lot of things happened there. You had large socialist riots in 1969. You had large socialist riots in Paris. You had the formation of the ETA, the Basque nationalists, who are Marxists and were terrorists in Spain, bits of France. You had the formation of the French Canadian separatists in Quebec. They formed their paramilitary bit, which didn't really do a lot. They've done a lot more political stuff than they did paramilitary, but they're still there. And you had the formation of the human rights movement in Ireland that became the Troubles. And it's almost as if in 1968 there was a big socialist convention in Paris, and they were all told to go back and start their individual terroristy uprising in the name of nationalism. Oh fuck, that exactly happened in 1968. So if you want to know why they're all very Marxist and very similar, it's probably because they all went to the same. The people behind them all went to the same convention.
Aye, and on top of that, just to talk about the SNP quickly, the change obviously was well before my time, but the change of the SNP can kind of be linked back to a group called the SNP 79 group, which was effectively a group of they were subversives. You had Alex Salmond, you had Rosina Cunningham, her brother, what's his name? Chris. I think it's Chris. But the point being, though, that their intention was to subvert the SNP, the nationalist movement, the SNP, the Scottish Nationalist Party, to try and turn them left wing. Eventually, and it was the forefront was Alex Neil Oliver. Oh God, fucking what? What? Let me get just a sense a minute. It's got me. But aye, just before he even interjects with the long-haired dick that you are, Neil Oliver, to quote my pal Scott Sarmer, the whole point it was headed by Alex Salmond. They eventually got ousted, but then they all infiltrated periodically as time went on after that fact. But it went from a sort of right-wing party, and bear in mind, prior to the EEC referendum back in the day, even going way back to World War II, the SNP, well, they were Nazi sympathizers. They were fascist to a certain extent, and they've gone from that to effectively drooling over Karl Marx's fucking Bobby. But that's what happened there. And let Neil Oliver, come on, the floor is yours. Okay. Well, if you're not going to talk, like, I'll just tell you my story, yeah.
Hello, I'm Neil Oliver, historian, architect, author, and all-round great hair. I was just listening to your stream tonight, and I have to say, it resonates greatly within me.
He's doing a pretty good job.
It's still a long hair dick. No. Fucking hell. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good impression. I'll give you that.
See, he's had to mute himself because he can't stop laughing in between.
I should probably be doing the same.
I'm actually not laughing. You know, the people from my lands don't realise how often that, you know, ordinary people might want to feel something more about themselves. Do you not agree?
Oh, come on, the fuck! Like, you're going to make me start fucking hell. What?
Hold on a minute, right? Exile Viking says I sounded like Billy Connolly. Billy Connolly doesn't sound
No, you
anything
don't.
fucking
No, you
like
don't.
that, you bastard.
No.
You know, fuck me. Exile, I'll tell you what, right? The reason why you're exiled is because you're a chippy bastard who's not even from Scotland. That's the reason why, mate. You know, fucking piss on my chips, you fucker. There you go. Anyway, how's it going, lads? How's it going? Hope you're enjoying yourselves.
You need to hear this story, right? Because I was going to tell it on the stream tomorrow night, but I just can't. It's just fucking amazing. So I went out with my dog yesterday morning. Went hiking with him. I went to Loch Ness and we went up some like glens and stuff. And then on my way home, I really, really, really needed a piss. Like really needed a piss. And like the roads next to Loch Ness, there's like no like all the lay-bys, they're pure tiny, so I didn't want to stop in them to piss. So we came up to like two houses. It was like a hedge separating the two houses. You know,
Does
like,
that story involve a Coke bottle?
No. You need to wait to hear. This is brilliant. So, like the hedge separated the two driveways, right? And I was like, "Nah, fuck this." So I pulled up onto the pavement. My music was blaring, like, because I'm a pure trance head. Open the door, music pumping, whip the donger out, like, start splashing all over the fucking pavement. I'm not proud of it, but I needed to go for a piss. Like, you know what I mean? The next thing you know, this woman walks down, this old woman walks down the corner, supposed to be like clipping hedges or something. And he was like, "What do you think you're doing?" Standing my dick out. Oh, I was fucking mortified. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know, because I thought she was going to like phone the police for like public indecency or something, but I needed to pee, you know, I fucking pee. So just the way she walked around the corner and she had like fucking shears in her hands or some shit. And she, what do you think you're doing? Standing my dick out. Oh God! Oh, that's the second woman that's seen my bobby in 2 years. Like, you know. Oh well, so that's my story. Fucking hell, man! Mortified, pure red faced, and a whole way home, I thought I'm gonna get lifted for public.
You're lucky she didn't come out dealing with clippers.
It's just, I don't know if you've ever seen. There's a program called Chewing the Fat is what it's ancient. Like there was a Karen the bar was in it, and there was a sketch that was quite a regular occurrence on it where she was the teacher and she always used to pick on a kid called Kenneth, and she'd be like, "Kenneth, you can come back and say that to me." Like she would spoke like that. That's how this woman sounded. Just walk around the corner with fucking cheers. Like, what do you think you're doing? Standing with the cow. So yeah, that's my story. You know, the story of Balamory, I guess. But aye. Aye.
You know that does remind me of a Billy Connolly tale where he says, he goes, "See, there'd be a lad walking down the street, and all of a sudden he'd stop at a doorway, and he'd take a great piss up the doorway, And then he'd take his keys out, open the door, and walk in.
Oh, I could sit here and tell you some absolutely embarrassing stories of my teenage years, but I'll just give you a quick one because I don't want to hijack the entirety of the stream. But I was at a party years ago. I was about 16 or 15 years old, and I was absolutely butt cheeked. Like, and I will not elaborate on what that means, but if you know, you know. If you didn't, you don't. However, my point being, me and my friend, about like 1 in the morning, we were like, oh, let's get a taxi, let's get out of here. And I blacked out. I fucking blacked out, right? I wake up in the morning, right, with no shoes on. My trousers are off, and I'm in some porch, like you know, like one of those things where there's like there's a door, then you open it up, and there's another door, and then that's like the main door. So I, still absolutely hammered, started banging on this door, thinking that like my shoes and my trousers must have been in the house and all that stuff. Banging on the door, didn't even know what it was. And then it's like, oh, again, another old woman opens the door, and I said to her, I swear on my granddad's grave, I said to her, I'm looking for the muscly German. Because it was a muscly German's party. That's all I knew him. That's how I knew who he was. I didn't know his name. I didn't know fuck all I knew he was the muscly German. So this woman just stared at me and got no fucking shoes on or anything. And then reality set, and I was like, oh no. So like I oh no. So yeah, that's probably my worst story. But why not? Fuck up. I don't know why I'm saying that, but that's true. That's a true story, by the way. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, could you enlighten us a bit more about Neil Oliver?
I don't have an issue with Neil Oliver, to be fair.
What's he been up to?
But...
Or who is he?
Well, Neil Oliver is actually a historian and an archaeologist. And when he finished his degree, I think, which was in archaeology, he became a field archaeologist, which basically means you go to some place in the pish fucking weather for 6 months and digging around trying to find a bit of old Roman wall or whatever. And he will actually state that himself. And he's on his various streams and that. And he said, you know, when I was out there in the field, and he does say that he thoroughly enjoyed his field work when he was doing the proper archaeology stuff, which is basically sifting through. Could be anything. I mentioned this evening on Bonnie Lad's channel, we were talking about history, that, you know, if they find like a rubbish pit, an ancient rubbish pit from thousands of years ago, it literally is like fucking platinum to them. Because it's, oh, fuck me, look at this, they're eating cod, even in the 2nd century BC, you know, so all this bullshit about cod being like so it's a constant treasure trove. But old Neil Oliver there, he says himself, he goes, I thought to myself, when I was in my early 20s, I thought, yeah, do I want to end up as one of these arthritic old salts like who I'm working with now, who I have the utmost respect for, or should I looking for a slightly different tack? So he isn't an archaeologist. He is an historian. He also worked on the series called Coast, which was basically the mapping of the coastline of Britain and taking various segments. So, you know, the North Scottish, the West Scottish, the East Scottish, East England, West England, Wales.
Yeah, Coast was a pretty good show.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, you see. So he was, and one of the things that really, one of the shows that he did, which was the interconnection of the west coast of Scotland and the east coast of Ireland, Northern Ireland, was the Giant's Causeway and the so-called, you know, the story of the two giants who fought over those lands. And that kind of thing is great. Obviously in our sort of more recent times, that couldn't possibly be true, but it still resonates. But
Oh.
one thing that I get from Neil Oliver, sorry, 42, maybe before you kick in, one thing I get from Neil Oliver, and yes, he is, GB News is controlled opposition. Don't be in any doubts about that. But Neil Oliver, he's nobody's fool. And when things, at least, even though he is controlled opposition, just as the same as Mark Stein, and I do enjoy Mark Stein's little bits and bobs here and there, at least they are pointing out the rank hypocrisies which have occurred over the last 2 years. And if nothing more, at least that is an avenue for us to have those, to make those observations. We see all of these wank stains across parliaments and the managerial classes around the Western world, all walking back. So you've got fuckers in, America now, the narrative shifted, says, yeah, this was all Trump's fault because Trump was all pro-vaccine. Fuck off, you cunts, fuck off, yeah? And yeah, he was, but he wasn't the litmus test. You other fuckers that followed him on, you are the wank stains that did that. The same as the wank stain, Scott Morrison, Australia. He's now been supplanted by, what's he called, Cheesy Toes Knees, or whatever his name is. And the fucking choppers bitch in New Zealand rolling back. Well, yeah, we've decided that now it's okay for people. Yeah, fuck off. You should be hanging from your toes in Wellington fucking Square as a traitor to the humanity of your nation. So should Anthony Fauci. So should Scott Morrison. So should all the likes of the various individual leaders of the different states within Australia. Dan Andrews, there's a fucker there. Literally should be, enjoying the bonuses of a, Il Duce hanging from his fucking toes in Melbourne. These people, and then you've got the elf on the shelf, Anthony Fauci, who says, yeah, I'm going to retire in December. Yeah, so you don't get fucking prosecuted. Tell you what, youth, don't be fucking getting that couch warm anytime soon, sunshine, because you're fucking going down, you twat.
Well, here's a question. Is he even going to stay in America? Maybe retire somewhere that doesn't have an extradition treaty? It could be one thing. But yes, see the way you were saying about the Giant's Causeway? The Egyptians get all this credit for building those pyramids. There's nobody giving any credit to the 100,000 Ulstermen with chisels making all those 50p's going, this will confuse the fuck out of people in the years to come.
That's literally the first I fucking heard of that too, so I can't recall.
Sorry, I didn't catch the last bit.
Yeah, it's 100,000 Ulstermen with hammers and chisels making those 50p shapes in the rocks, going,
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
This will confuse
and the hell of it is, mate, you sent half of them over to Scotland to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And there's resisting the lies there. He was wrestling the Loch Ness Monster through the week, and he has no fucking idea, has he? You know what I mean? Fuck's sake. You call yourself of these islands. And I'm Neil Oliver, and I'm the peak person, the historian and an archaeologist, letting you know about all these things. And the reason why they're that particular shape is so, at some point in time, millennia, hundreds of thousands of years ago, when those formations were made, they were done so in the knowledge that if Rishi Sunak actually becomes the Prime Minister of Great Britain, they can chisel into those little 50 pences, diversity built Britain.
No, I hear you.
Yep. Oh, Finn McCool, if you look in the map, Finn McCool Hagastore, if you look in the map, and you have a look at Loch Ness and the Isle of Man, you'll see that they're both the same basic shape. That's a bit of earth he scooped up and threw at the Scottish giant.
Fucking hell. Fuck. Jesus. I did not expect that at all. I did not expect that at all. For fuck's sake. No. Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't think he's going to be the PM, though, just on a side note. I think it's going to be that Penny Mordaunt, whatever the fuck her name is.
She's not even in it anymore. It's old Surgical Truss.
Oh, aye, so that's what I meant. Aye, see, I don't pay attention to
I'll
that.
tell you now, right? I don't know if you guys have got access to pictures, right? But I'm telling you now. I'll tell you what. I'll do it. I'll see if I can find it.
Like a potato head.
But I'll tell you now, right? I'll tell you now.
Okay.
See if I can find. I'll tell you what. See if I can find one, right? And I'll put it up on.
Yeah,
Here we go. This is. I've got a picture here, right? Of oh, how would you get that in there?
Get paint open.
Yes. There we go. Right. I'll tell you what. See if I can share this one with you. Here is literally right an artist's impression of Liz Truss.
Okay.
There you go. 42. I don't know if you can show it.
Yeah.
There you go. That's Liz Truss. There you go.
What the fuck is that?
That's Liz Truss.
That is exceptionally misogynistic.
Kill that.
It's-
Whatever the
it's
fuck that is, kill the
true.
fire.
That I tell you what. That do you want to know what that is? You fucking heathens. That is the troll from a film, an early '80s film called Cat's Eye, starring James Woods and Barrymore, and that is the troll. And guess what? That is Liz Truss, fucking separated at birth. Hey,
Well, this is like the third time I'm pretty speechless in this stream tonight. This wasn't the way that I expected this to go. I don't even know how to respond to that. I have to disavow. I think that's very misogynistic, and I disavow that here in Scotland.
look,
We're all
look at
about
this here. Look at this here. 42's per commentary by Billy Blogs, right? The,
my best friend, Billy.
the Wikipedia and Amazon book review expert. It says here, the Giant's Causeway is an area of about 40,000 interlocking basalt columns, the result of ancient volcanic fissure eruption. It's located in County Antrim on the north coast of Northern Ireland and also on the west coast of Scotland. But the thing is, right, there were thousands of people chiseling those little bloody emblems out of that basalt, mate, so they could put Diversity Built Britain on it. So you're completely wrong, yet again.
You know, I remember that stream we did a while ago where I showed my comparison of Rishi Sunak to the Mr. Potato Head. There was a video that I made ages ago, and the thumbnail, I genuinely did make it, and it was Rishi Sunak holding the 50p coin, but I'd taken his face out for Mr. Potato Head, but I thought I'd be too racist. Oh, just every time you talk about that, man, I just get like Vietnam flashbacks, eh? But I just wanted to say one thing about Neil Oliver before we got who in the sidetrack there. The one thing that I will add to what my best friend Neil Oliver said there was that, albeit, yes, he's part of he's GB News and whatnot, I will say that he's probably one of the only individuals that you can consider speaks about like things that need to be spoken about to a certain extent, which, you know, Agenda 2030 and, you know, calling out the climate change nonsense, contradictions and whatnot. And on top of that, he's got a massive pool, a massive audience of what would be considered normies. So I know that Scott Sarmer thinks he's a long-haired dick. That's literally his quote from the streams that we've done, but I can't fault him for that, you know. like at least he's saying more than most. So yeah, that's my 2 cents, or should I say 50 pence? Eh?
Could you two hold the stream here for a couple of minutes just to go
Yeah,
to the
mate,
toilet?
no bother.
Right.
Aye, we
Okay.
can go back to my
Two
story. Where my
quarters.
no, we won't. Oh,
Right
gee.
then, what nasty thing that YouTube doesn't like should we talk about? Resisting the
Oh, well, it's my favorite subject.
law.
Beans. Beans. Let's talk about
Fame, I want to live forever. Unless you're the leader and get accidentally shot by another BAME. And then
No,
end
here's
up
one
in
for you.
hospital.
It was what I made a video on. I don't know if you've seen it. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to take offense if you didn't see it. But it was Sturgeon the other day. I'm just going to get the article up. Like, I'm not going to share the screen, obviously.
You are assuming that I've got fuck all to do during the day, you know.
I'm just saying it. Like my quote unquote content's not to be all and end
Thing
all.
is, mate, I tell you now, right? I tell you what, you produce more content than BBC Three, mate. You're fucking unbelievable.
Just more fucking content than every Scottish
You're a
content,
Trojan, mate. Yeah.
Creator combined. But you know, I don't take
Yeah.
credit. It's not a Bobby measuring contest. However, my point being, Sturgeon recently has come out and said that she says that she is apparently, she sees herself as British as well as Scottish, right? But then she says something that I just found fucking fantastic. She said, now I made a video on this last night. She says, identity is a complex thing. Many people live in Scotland are as Scottish as I am, but will have a very proud Pakistani or Indian or African identity. Independence is about self-governance. It's about whoever lives in Scotland, wherever they come from, whatever their identity is, however multifaceted and complex that identity may be. It's about those of us living here taking responsibility for the decisions that determine what kind of country we are. Oh my God, like just put a bullet through my fucking brain. Like seriously, this thin-lipped fucking baboon. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm reading from the Daily Record, which is a Labour paper, but like it even specifies here she's fucking English. It says the First Minister, whose family has roots in Sunderland, because she's English. Like, I know we gave you Tony Blair, you gave us Sturgeon. My point is,
Hold on a minute. I've got roots in Sunderland, motherfucker. You know.
well, you might be related to the Sturgeon family for all I know. Have you got thin
Well,
lips?
I could be, but you know, I think.
Have you got thin lips?
Well, the thing is, where I'm from, you know, in Sunderland, you know, there was this place called Cherry Knoll, which was the nut house, and I reckon the Sturgeons, you know, that shut it down because they didn't have enough money to keep it going. So rather than, you know, let them out and infect England, they just settled in Scotland instead.
No, it's just like I know I rambled a wee bit there, but like it's just that quote. I'll read it again. She says, "Many people live in Scotland, and they are as Scottish as I am, but will have a very proud Pakistani or Indian or African identity." Like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, I mean, yes, the argument could be made, oh, this is just like Civnat talk. No. I mean, how can you have a proud African, for example, identity while simultaneously being Scottish? It doesn't work like that. I think that it kind of goes under the radar in terms of the fact that people will dismiss this as Civnat Kakri, is my point that I made in my video last night about it. But what I find fundamentally abhorrent about it is the fact that this is just another chip, chipping away, another nail in the coffin, so to speak, of the national identity of what it means to be Scottish. You know, and the same thing is applicable irrespective of where you live, because the same principle applies to these individuals, these cretins exist. But like, how if somebody can be African and Scottish, but we're not allowed to be Scottish, you know, like, I don't know. So I wondered if you'd, I know you haven't watched my hot takes and my content, but you know, what's your thoughts on that? Like,
Yeah, well,
Yeah. right,
Well,
go, Sam.
go on, sorry, mate, go on, carry on.
I totally agree with you. They do not want any form of nationalistic pride in England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, or Britain as a whole, and they'll just go at everything they can to try and chip it away. And to be totally honest with you, the reason why I started doing these streams about British traditions and whatnot is because we keep on being told we've got no history, we've got no culture, we've got no tradition. And the other thing, what I will say is, I don't think me streaming on a Saturday night is going to change the world, and everybody's suddenly going to wake up to it. And I know the numbers that I get aren't that important, but it's fuck. See when it comes to the end of the day, I can say I tried.
Oh yeah, no, I'm the same. Like, I mean, I've had the odd insult thrown my way from time to time because I don't do things IRL. You know, it's a bit difficult when you live in a country that's got hate crime fucking laws that put you in jail for being far right and whatnot. You know, but my point is, though, I have never once said that my videos are going to change the world, but I have tried my best and I have exhausted all of my energy over the course of years to try and provide information for people to run with if they so choose. My naivety at first when I started my YouTube channel was believing that it would be simple in terms of I'll make YouTube videos, it will get to the public. And I have come to realize as the years have gone by that it's a lot more difficult on platforms like this. So of course, IRL might very well be the alternative to that, but I still struggle to see how I could make a bigger impact by doing something called IRL as opposed to what I do now at current. But no, like never denigrate yourself for thinking that that your videos or no your streams, sorry, like don't self-deprecate in that respect, because at the end of the day, there's a community that's sort of rallied around you, irrespective of your numbers. It's taken me years to accumulate the numbers that I've got, years. And I mean, I've been on YouTube, as I said, since 2016, 2016, you know, and that's a long time. And it's taken me years to accumulate a following. And I've got some very, very loyal subscribers, loyal people that I speak to quite often privately and whatnot. And I think that it's just those sort of things that make an impact. You're not going to change the world, either am I, you know, but it's the community that you're forming. So that's my 2 cents on that front.
The people who come here every week are fucking excellent. You know, I really enjoy doing it. We do your serious bit, we do your history, then we have a joke and a bit of a crack, and it's fucking good. You know. Well, Edmund, thank you very much. That's a lovely comment. He says give people a lot of hope, a little hope, and hope is a very important thing.
Aye, it is.
Can I just come in there for you?
Yeah,
I think you do yourself a great disservice.
I agree.
And it's a similar trait that I see oftentimes in Bonnie Lad when he does his streams, because what you present to us, you know, it could be quirky sports or quirky you know, parts of history or, you know, traditions.
Well, peeing at Loch Ness. Sorry, carry on.
If people like you don't document these things, and like I say, you're very generous because you don't just confine it to Northern Ireland. You take in, you know, the UK as a whole, perhaps even the British Isles as a whole, and many people would be completely oblivious to many of the things that you show, and like I say, I you know, when you were sort of picking out different, there were like esoteric sports, for instance. There was a couple that I hadn't seen before, but there was a couple that I had, but the ones that I hadn't seen before, geez, look at this, that's absolutely mental.
Well,
But it's more. I don't know how to say this, and it will be very disingenuous to say it's the same. It's the kind of thing that Chris Dangerfield does, because he does, but it's more. There's more of an affinity, because you see these people doing this bog snorkeling thing. You know, I knew about bog snorkeling, yeah. When you dropped me the line today and say, yeah, I'm doing a show tonight, we're going to be doing Whitton, and I just saw, you know, Whitton, and I thought, oh, that must be where I am. Oh, bloody hell, I didn't even know about that. But it was Yorkshire Whitton and bog snorkeling. I thought, oh, yeah, I know about the old bog snorkeling. Yeah, those nutters. And then you know, you fetch out mountain bike bog snorkeling. Like, what in the Jesus Christ is this? But you know, it's mental, but it affirms who we are as a people. It's, you know, we do mental things, but that's a release valve. And all the thing, you know, one thing that I would say to yourself, 42, to yourself, resisting the lies, and myself, and also, you know, Bonnie Lad and the people who operate in our circles are also stream, Scott's Armour, whoever rags. What we do, yeah, is a form of catharticism, yeah. So, you know, what do? Do you bottle it all up and become a fucking basket case overnight? Or do you share it with the wider public? You know, okay, you know, when you say, oh, I only get this many or I only get that many. But what you don't realize is whoever may watch your video now or in the future, they may well be thinking to themselves, you know, what is the fucking point? And they may hear a particular story or a particular facet or a particular angle, and they'll say, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, that's 100%. So it's not as though, you know, never ever be dissuaded by the numbers of people who necessarily turn up on any given night or at any particular point in time. It's still necessary, because the message that you're putting out is a necessary message.
Aye.
No.
What I would add to that is, as much as whenever I say it's only a small number, I'm not even being self-deprecating. But here's the thing: what I've learned over 10 years of making that, it's not the size of the wave you make, but it's how far that ripple travels, and you never know. The likes of us will never know what way we have changed the thinking of somebody or give somebody a perspective. I'll give you a really good example. There's a YouTube channel that I would say most of the people in this chat have heard of. The Glass Blind Spot.
Aye.
Yeah, okay. Right. I'm not claiming sole responsibility for it, but there was me and the Glass Blind Spot. He lives in. We went for coffee and stuff, but he was at a event. He was at the International Men's Day event in Belfast Castle in 2014 that I'm responsible for making happen. And he was thinking about doing something, and what he heard at that conference was what tipped him over the edge.
Yes.
You know, so you don't know you don't know what effect you're having. We're never going to know the full effect of what we've achieved.
Because I was going to say, like, I said this on the stream. I know you were watching it at the time, 42. Like the stream I did with John Davison a few weeks ago about like the drug deaths and stuff in Scotland. But towards the end of the stream, I was like, well, let's lighten the mood up to a certain extent, and I brought up a comment that had been left to me on one of my YouTube videos. I might just on a side note quickly, the blind spot. Sorry, he's done some great videos. Well, he did some great videos back in the day about the SNP and the fucking misogyny aspect of the hate crime bill that's now coming into effect. But there was a guy in my comment section that said that some of the work that I've been doing is starting to spread at the grassroots. Now, I would never have known about that. And I mean, I've only got his word for it, you know. But at the end of the day, I'll take his word for it. I've got no reason to disbelieve him. But that was just, it was sort of pleasant to hear in many respects, because you know, you can sit there and make YouTube videos all day, which I've done for years, and you know, you get people blowing smoke up your arse in the comment sections and whatnot. I understand that, and but it's just, I've always been of the belief that eventually some of the stuff that I've tried to provide, in my case anyway, can't speak for anybody else, but some of the stuff that I've tried to provide would eventually get out to a wider audience. And according to this individual, that is the case, which is fantastic. It's fantastic, because, you know, if it wasn't for me doing that, if it wasn't for me providing that information, would these individuals who this guy claims spreading about in pertaining to the grassroots, quote unquote, would that be the case? Probably no. So no, I get what you mean, like, without a doubt. I'll also say as well, just very quickly, it's Billy blogs, but you are like turf. I'm not okay. My best friend Billy being a dick. Like, I've always had my problem with my quote unquote content. I hear that word, it's pure American, but I'm very Scottish centric, and I think that could potentially alienate people. Whereas the pair of yous to there's not so much as it encompasses whomever wishes to come and participate, so to speak, you know, in your streams and that. Mine's Scottish. If you're not interested in what's happening in Scotland, you're not going to bother, you know.
Well, if I was sticking to Northern Ireland stuff, I would be either on historical stuff. It would be extremely repetitive. It'd be out of stuff to talk about in about 3 weeks, or if or they end up arrested, because there's a lot of my opinions that I've got to skirt a line on.
Yeah. Probably the same for all of us. I will say though that there is a void that needed filled, and I think you and Ragnar have done that. Like, it was the same. I don't know if he's caught the stream that I did with Urbadub a while ago, where he was asking me about the stream that me and Scott's Armour do on the Sundays and that, and I explained to him that there was a void that needed filled. There was just like, there was nothing that was Scottish specific, you know, and for the vast majority of last year, that's what it was all about. It was just Scottish centric, and as time has progressed and we've obtained a much larger audience, albeit it's only like 40 or 50 on average viewers more than it was when we first started. That's at the point. It's we've expanded to, you know, incorporate other issues and whatnot. But I think the same principle applies for Northern Ireland, without a doubt. There is barely any voices. Even that video that I, you know, when I clipped of the stream that me and you did when I explained my positions on Scottish nationalism and that, there was a lass in the comments. You can go and check it after this if you didn't believe me. Like, Sue, aye, she's like, she'd never heard of you, so you know, there's a void to be filled there. Like,
right, Sansom, give us some of your wisdom.
aye.
My wisdom is this: that we all have, for me, right, as an Englishman, I always 100. I appreciate every single thing that our nations, and I mean that in the real sense, not the fucking artificial bullshit that we get forced upon us from Westminster and Holyrood and Stormont and all these other fucking places. You know, in Cardiff, obviously the Assembly under was it Blackford? You know, Drakeford or Blackford. Blackford is the SNP fat cunt.
You're thinking of that fat walrus.
Yeah, but yeah, so there are voices from these lands, you know, from all corners of these lands. So if you look at the Republic of Ireland, you've got the likes of Dave Cullen and Thomas Sheridan and Grant, you know, many other people. advocating for their land. You've got the same in Northern Ireland with yourself and Rags. You've got the same in Scotland with Scots Armour, No Chance, Resisting the Lies. You've got the same in Wales, particularly with the guys from PA Wales and all the people who are affiliated with that. And you've got the people in England, and who are many, a multitude, but, you've got to be, England, populace-wise, is the biggest and therefore is the most subjective with regards to who can be considered to be controlled interference, shall we say? Yeah, gatekeepers, in other words. What we do as little minnow channels is we really. I don't, if I see a story that's like, this is unbelievable, irrespective of where it's come from, I will promote that to the hilt, because it's like, fuck this is shit. So, a couple today, just from Morgoth's review, is a bloke to the northeast of England, sort of my catchment area, but he's sort of, literally in the Northumberland, or Northumbria as it was formerly called, area. And Northumbria is a fantastic and beautiful place, which is yet to be devastated by any, it is one of the most remote places that you can find in England today. I would imagine it's on a par with certain sectors of the very north of Scotland, very, 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 very small numbers of people there. Places of historical beauty, but when we are a collective who together we are trying to push again. We have to point beyond the traitors in our various administrations and point beyond them and point at the people who are causing the actual harm to us from on high. And unfortunately, they are, the globalist elite. And they are the likes of your George Soros, your Bill Gates, your Larry Fink, and your Klaus Schwabs. They literally are the people who are dictating what happens around the world. And as a sovereign nation for so many years, millennia, Bonnie Ladd covered that this evening in his stream. Why the hell should we listen to some specky, bald, cat-stroking, fucking pound-shot Bond villain in Switzerland as to how we should run our fucking lives? How's about no, you mad bastard? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the same as specky Bill Gates. Go and put a different fucking jumper on, you fucking
Here, can I just highlight? Sorry, you highlighted the comment earlier on. I really wanted to interject there. Who's it? Wait, I'm looking at my Xbox. Raymond Piper. He said, "Where else could you listen to an Ulsterman, a Scot, and a Brit? You're not even English anymore, since you're a Brit." However, my point is, he said, "Where
I'm as British as you, isn't it, mate? You know what I mean? Bloody Britain. I'm using Windows 10. Windows 10. You are wanting my assistance?
Off you wee long-haired prick. But he said, where could these three aforementioned individuals have a cordial conversation? And it kind of ties into the last time I appeared on stream to debunk my best friend Billy's very abusive remarks in terms of like my quote-unquote Scottish separatism, because we're all facing the same issues at the end of the day. That's why we can have cordial conversations. But that's I know you wanted to say something 42, but like I wanted to highlight before it went out of my head. Like,
oh fuck, I forgot what it was. It can't have been that important.
It was a dad joke, 42. Tell us a dad joke. Resisting the Lives loves a dad joke. Tell us a dad joke.
No.
I've normally got like a couple of hundred of them. I tell dad jokes and work all the time.
You dare.
Yeah.
Go on, do it.
The interesting thing about cows? No. How come a brown cow? They only eat green grass. produces white milk. But that's not the interesting thing. The interesting thing is who found out you could drink the milk and what the fuck were they trying to do?
Well, that's a good point. Like,
Hey, you know something I never thought about. Did they have monkeypox?
But I'll tell you something else about cows. Cows can go up a set of steps, but they can't go down because of the way their knees are made. Right? They have to go down like a steady slope. And I'm wondering who found that out. And what the fuck did their wife say? Get that cow to my bedroom?
no, you know.
I've got one for you. This is a good one for little kids. It's a great one. Why did the fish blush?
Don't know.
Because the seaweed.
Right here. Actually, resistant. Here.
No.
I'm going to ask you 3 questions
If
in a
that
row.
related,
And what I want you to do is keep the answers in your mind and then say them all in a row. Like, so if the answer was black, brown, green, you'd collate them and go black, brown, green. Right. So the first question, pretty easy. What's 1 + 1? The second question, if you got the first one right, you'll get that because that again is 1 + 1. And the third question is, what's the surname of the author of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn? Right. So
it's Choo Choo Train.
Tomorrow I'll teach you how to say locomotive.
I don't even know what the fuck that means. Like, I don't know. Fuck.
Right. Right. The answers are 2, 2, twin. So tomorrow I'll teach you how to say locomotive.
If it wasn't for saying some being very rude, typical English behaviour, by the way.
Just jumping in.
Again on our toes.
Oh, that's me. I thought you
No, you're a star. Fucking Sunderland.
I get the blame for everything, mate. I'm going back to being Neil Oliver. I'm a historian, you see, and I've got straight hair, and I grew this beard from what was called the Ash Sarkar instant beard pack. And
Billy Blogs asked, my best friend Billy, he asked a question a long time ago, and I think it was just before I started, before I joined this, and he asked, what is curriculum? I can't even say it because I'm not a Pakistani babe. And I was wanting to, like, you know, maybe play this little clip. It's quite funny. If you do you want to play it? It's for me, No Chance in Scott's Armour. I have never heard Scott's Armour laugh this way before, but it's gold. So this is what curriculum is. If you want to see it, like, I mean, well, I've kind of put it out there.
Stick on the thing will short.
Right.
It's not the same as sausage, is it, mate?
No, it's nothing to do with it. No, it's not.
After that, we'll address Anglo's question there because that's actually.
Yeah, we can do that, but honestly, this is brilliant. I have never heard Scott's Armour laugh like this before. I break out in tears as well, but this is a belter. Just, I'm gonna. I don't know if I shared my audio. Sorry, I'll share again. There we go. Sharing.
Oh, your tab's closed?
No, you're all good. You're all good, guys. I'm not researching my. But there we go. I've got the audio shared, so there we go. Watch this. This is for you, my best friend Billy. I love you so much, pal. Right.
Thank the Cabinet Secretary for that answer. The program the Scottish Government has set up is important and uphold its work so far. But we cannot afford for this to be a missed opportunity to ensure that the curriculum itself is...
Did he say curry? Yeah.
Curriculum itself is opportunity to ensure that the curriculum itself
Ding 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 ding.
Oh, fuck no.
It's inclusive and representative. Can the cabinet secretary reassure me that curriculum reform will be given?
Is this what the anti-racist education is? We just rename it to curriculum.
And it's the comment at the end from the Ayatollah. Even I'm less spotted than this clown. Oh man, I fucking love those two boys. But aye, there you go, Billy. For you. That is for you, my best friend.
That is.
Kill him.
There was a politician in Northern Ireland that was at like a Christmas event or something, and he was taking the piss out of Sinn Féin, and he just stood up and says, "I just want to say, curry me yogurt." I'm boarding them on with paper cats because in the middle of Belfast City Council or our assembly, they stand up, they rabbit something in leprechaun, and sit down again. But that fucking curry column is fucking even better.
Fuck's sake. No, oh no, we're getting into racist territory here. I disavow. I disavow. But you wanted to address Anglo-Saxon comment.
Yeah, we need to embrace being Ulsterman, Scotsman, Welshman, and Englishman. I totally 100% agree. And we can do that, but we can also come together, as four constituent parts to create a better good. Because together we're more than the sum of our parts.
Yeah. Well, I'll let Sensum jump in because I just played my hot takes.
No, I absolutely agree, because the problem that we have at the moment is that all of the home nations, so if you think of Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, they are automatically primed to hate the English because of historical past incursions, etc. The reality is that when you look at a Drakeford, when you look at a Sturgeon, when you look at the what's the name, Ahern, that was the late, I don't know who's in the head-on show now in Northern Ireland, because that's always been a slightly different animal when it comes to politics-wise. They're all very quick to demonize Westminster, and I am the same. But please do not conflate what occurs in Westminster with the majority of the people of England, because, and I will say this quite unironically, the people of England have far more affinity with the people of Scotland, the people of Northern Ireland, the people of Wales, even the people of Ireland as a whole, the Republic of Ireland, than they will ever have with the lick-spittle wankstains who inhabit the hallowed halls, if you like, of Westminster, where we have 650 traitors, basically, including Blackford. Yeah. I just, in the past, when we look at historically in the past, oh, you wronged us by doing this then. Yes, we did. You did wrong us by us doing this. You did wrong by us by doing this then. Yes, we did. But it wasn't the ordinary people who were doing that.
No.
We were doing that under the orders of the higher ups. I still maintain to this day that we still have a greater affinity with our Welsh, Scottish, and Irish brethren than what they could ever enjoy by becoming an independent nation and then jumping into bed with interlopers from the European Union. That is my opinion, and I would be the first one. I would be the first person, particularly in Scotland, I would be the first person who would say if Scotland wanted to be independent, I would say, well, they should be allowed the vote to do it, but only when they had a party that represented true nationalism, because
Yes.
under that thin-lipped witch they've got now, Nicola Sturgeon, it is anything but a nationalist organisation. It is a globalist organisation.
No.
So the majority of ordinary Scottish people may want to think, oh, we are voting for Scottish nationalism, without really understanding what that means, because Scottish nationalism in its current incarnation is globalism and the death knell for actual Scottish people. And that is the same if you look at Ireland, if you look at England, if you look at Scotland. It hasn't quite happened yet in Northern Ireland, but guess what, guys? You're going to be targeted next. So unless the peoples of these lands, and I mean that in the truest sense, put away historical differences. Yes, my forebears may well have invaded Ireland. My forebears
Did
may
they?
well have invaded Scotland and Wales. It wasn't me, and I feel more for you as peoples than I would ever do for any twat in fucking EU, and I've got nothing against Europeans as a race of people, but I feel more brethrenship with the Welsh, the Scots, and the Irish than I will ever do for a Frenchman or a German. Do you see what I mean?
In truth, I mean, if you were to do like DNA tests and whatnot, I've not done one. I'm not giving my fucking DNA to anybody for that. Like, but I just know from my my surname and whatnot, and from what I have done historically speaking, in terms of my lineage, I know that I am overwhelmingly Scottish as opposed to anything else. But I just wanted to say two things. I know you wanted to jump in 42, and the floor is yours. It's your seat at the end of the day. But I just wanted to say, see, the thing about being a Scottish Highlander, which I am, I people assume that well, you're a Scottish nationalist, you must hate English people. No, I don't. I don't hate English people. But if I was to go down that route, I would equally hate Lowland Scots, because they were just as complicit in what happened to the Scottish Highlanders, as English people were, albeit, as you say, they were following orders and whatnot. And I forgot my second point. To be fair, on you go for it. But I did want to get that out there.
Yep. Anglo, yes, that has happened. If you can see, Anglo asked me a question there. Did they keep their armour? Yes, they did. Right. Newsflash: England and Scotland, or English people and Scottish people, never invaded Ireland at any time. The only people that invaded Ireland were the Celts who came from Central Europe, who invaded a settled country between 500 BC and 250 BC, and have from then until now been trying to remove the indigenous inhabitants. And the only thing that the Scottish people, English people, or Welsh people have ever done is come to the aid of their kith and kin. Mm-hmm. And the idea of a plantation is total bollocks. The idea that Ireland is a Celtic country is total bollocks. And a bunch of noisy Celts have spent the entirety of their existence blaming England on shit they never done. And believe it or not, this is probably the first time you're hearing this, but people with opinions like mine and about the actual facts of the thing don't really get a voice anywhere. That's not a popular opinion. It doesn't go out. The only thing that the Ulster Unionists would say about Westminster or England in general is we rightly have a fear of being dumped, and the Home Rule Bill, which we formed an army to fight against, uh, is quite worrying. And the whole Brexit thing, where we are at the moment, where the mainland's out of Europe, we're still in Europe, nobody knows what the fuck's going to happen. Yeah, that could all go quite messy very, very quickly.
Yeah, no, I've actually spoken to Scott's Armour about that before on the phone. But I remember what I wanted to say. My second point was that what Sensen was saying there, it kind of echoed what I was saying when we were streaming the other week when I spoke about, when I came on to speak about my positions on Scottish nationalism in terms of the Westminster as it stands. It does not. It's solely unionist. So I understand it doesn't represent English people. Like it's unionism. So it's solely focused on that, and that's not me trying to be divisive or whatever or poisonous. I'm just saying that I totally echo what Sense was saying. It just came up my head there. I knew it would come back to me, but fire on Sense or whomever.
Oh, that's the other thing. If Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales have an assembly, England needs an assembly that is purely interested in England's best
I
interest.
agree. No, I. Do you know what I would? Like, obviously, in an idealistic world, as I said before, I would be off the belief that all four nations should be sovereign within their own right, but they should have some sort of kind of like the Anglosphere has. I'm pretty sure there's a specific term for it in terms of like the sort of security pact and whatnot they've got. But I would meet in the middle in this hypothetical world where, at the very bare minimum, we should all be sovereign, including England, but, we can still be part of a union. I know it might sound retarded to some, but, I just think that we all need, because Westminster, the current Westminster system, as it stands, does not represent it. Liverpool and Manchester have different issues, right? And yes, you can devolve that to council level, but at the end of the day, that's not how it operates. Like people in Liverpool and Manchester will vote accordingly for whomever gets into Westminster. Westminster needs to fucking go. I will not change my opinion on that. I just think that I'm not like totally radical in terms of localism, like Count Dankula, and whatnot. But I just think that the current system does not work. It doesn't work. Albeit politics, in my belief, is rigged. It's just pointless considering it to be to be any different. But in this, this hypothesis where it is legitimate, the system in and of itself needs to be completely reformed. And it's funny, actually, in many respects, because I remember the likes of Nicola Bulcutt and Lip Sturgeon talking quite explicitly about, we need to stay in the EU, but I agree that the European Union needs to be reformed. I don't hear her talking about that reformation now. Nah, of course you didn't. Because, I'm just saying, that's my belief anyway. I don't know. I think England needs to be properly represented. And any legitimate Scottish nationalist would hold that belief. And I find it quite abhorrent, really, that too many people in Scotland, they focus so much of their energy on hating the English, when the reality of the matter is, look closer at home for a start. But if you're going to really go down the historical route, then look at your own people. Because they're fucking Lowland Scots, as I said, but no, they don't. They just blame the English all the time. And as I say, the English don't have a parliament. It's a UK-wide parliament. So that's why my disdain for the union, it's nothing to do with nations. It's the concept. I don't like it because it's just corrupt. But I'll stop now because I know you two are more unionist. And I'm on the verge of saying something or regret on stream. I just don't like it. I think it's toxic.
What about the way the union's currently working is broken. I don't know exactly how we'll fix it, and I do think that there's something wrong where England didn't get an assembly and the other nations did, and our electoral system uh, is problematic because you know what I would do? One of the first things I would do, I would ban anybody that has a university degree from standing in an election for 7 years. So that at the very least, we get ordinary working class people in there to shake the whole fucking thing up. And oh fuck, I tell you what I would do. I would go around all of those members of parliament and go, can you give me the definition of a male? Can you give me a definition of a female? And if I can't do that, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah, I'm just going for a urination session. I don't, just in case you come to me for something.
Right. Okay. But yeah, I think where we'll start is getting a bunch of people that did not go to university and definitely know the difference between a man and a woman. I think that has to be where we start.
Yeah, well, I would agree 100%. Have you seen the actual mental gymnastics that have been trotted through when that most simple of questions have been asked? I mean, some bloke actually did was it a 2-hour documentary on the fundamental of that one single question? I mean, it's not even difficult, is it? It's just well, I keep on repeating it. It's common sense, but there's an absolute bereft chasm when it comes to common sense. And
no, well, the question isn't whether or not somebody actually knows the difference between a man and a woman. The question is, are they afraid to say it? Because these people aren't coming up with these answers because they genuinely don't know and they're confused, and I think it's a big philosophical question. They're coming out with that answer because they're afraid to say what is blatantly a biological, easy to understand fact. And see if you are afraid to voice the truth on something that is staring you in the face, you have no business representing anyone.
I would 100% echo that. But if they can't do that, then literally all they're doing is proving themselves to be cowards. So what do you want? Do you want a coward? Or do you want somebody who will actually speak the truth? That would literally be the litmus test.
Yeah, I want the cards out. I want all those yellow fucking skirty cat wankers out. And it's a really easy question to ask. And you just go around and you go, right, can you answer it? If you can't answer that question, you need to get your stuff. Actually, don't bother getting your stuff. We'll post it after you. Fuck off.
Well, like I'm talking about that particular documentary. Well, define woman. Well, a woman is a woman, isn't it? Yeah, but define what you mean by woman. Well, a bird who you'd want to shag, not fucking Rachel Levine, 4-star admiral of the American military. That's pretty much where I come from. And their pronouns would be XX as opposed to XY. Oh, you're a hateful person. Oh, stupid person. Oh. But the problem is, and this is the thing that does my jaffers in when it comes to this kind of nonsense, is that they say that anybody can be anything.
Well,
but the reality is, you can cut bits off and you can stick bits on, but at the chromosome level, you still are what you are. So if
Yep.
you were born a boy, you're a boy. If you were born a girl, you're a girl. If you have this mental delusion that you're not the kind of thing that you were at birth, then sucks to be you. But please understand that once you've gone through the process of puberty, 95% of those people who think or who have been propagandized into thinking that they are confused will actually align with their birth sex. You know, that's the horrendous thing. And
Well,
I saw a recent report. I don't know if it's in this country, because obviously over here we've just disbanded the Tavistock Centre, which was, hell incarnate. But certainly in the United States, they're actually putting kids like 4-year-old, 6-year-old on hormone adjusting medication. I mean, this is evil incarnate, isn't it?
well, whenever somebody was saying, that they don't know if they're a man or a woman or whatever, my question would have been, well, why aren't you a cat? But then there's a girl in school in England whose school has said that yes, that's fine. You can identify as a cat. Uh,
What the fuck?
whenever you lift the lid off that,
Well, 42. If you don't mind me just interrupting there, because I heard about that one, and the absolute idiocy, twat faces. Put a litter tray in the toilets, didn't they, for this one fucking maladjusted girl? What I would like to do is I would like to go on to, all of these top channels, GB News, fucking BBC, whoever, and say, I tell you what, guys, I identify as a billionaire. And I'm hoping that tomorrow when I wake up, it's an absolute reality, because I just have to say it, and that makes it so, doesn't it? Now, do you think for 1 minute when I wake up the following morning, my bank account's going to have 9 zeros on the end of it? No, it's just going to have 1 zero, and that's the zero that was already there. In other words, fuck all.
well, I went into a bank and asked for money from the account of men's money, or the one that's labelled money earned by men, because of this no gender pay gap, where they add up all the money earned by men and all the money earned by women, and there's a difference, a disparity whenever they do that. And apparently the bank says that doesn't exist, and the people go home with whatever their fucking job pays. And in 1974, we had an Equal Pay Act that means it's illegal to pay people different amounts for the same job due to gender or sex or age or whatever. So, the level of bullshittery that goes on in this country is fucking off the hook.
Oh, the gender pay gap, as you were sort of alluding to there, really,
Yep.
really irritates me, because it was debunked a long time ago, and how they initially started the insinuation pertaining to that was they said that, well, women are being paid less for the same job as a man, etc., etc. And when that was debunked, the rebuttal to that was, well, what you're doing is you're taking all of the male, occupations and the female occupations of a specific business, irrespective of what job roles they've got, and you're comparing the two. The feminists then decided to run with that and then say, oh, well, that's still inequality. There should be equal amounts of women and men in each job role, oh my god, the Scottish Parliament do this all the time. They still run with it to this day. They still run with it. It drives me demented when I see Nicola Thinlips or Little Mo, one of my favourite wee characters nowadays, because she's quite prevalent in the Parliament. That fucking feminist bulldog, Shirley Ansett, they all do it. All of them do it. And the entirety of Scottish politics in a Scottish context is, and I'm pretty sure it's identical in Wales. It's just feminist orientated now at this point, and it's got to such a point where we have surpassed the the aforementioned gender pay gap, and now we're focusing on, oh well, why don't women go into specific fields of STEM, etc., etc. So what's their big grandiose plan to try and get women to go into mathematics and physics and computing science and whatnot? No, it's to go after nursery children, early learning. So the S&P talk a good game. And this is a fun fact, but I don't lie. My name is Resisting Lies. I don't lie, motherfucker. They talk to no end about tax-free, state-funded early learning childcare, so you can go to work or your child is looked after. What they don't tell you is they've got a program in place to bring up these children in a gender-friendly environment, because according to these people and according to their websites, according to the publications, they claim that gender stereotypes, they're intrinsic from a very young age. So they want to eviscerate any possibility of that becoming a reality in the future. It's all about empowering the girls. But my point being here, nursery children, little toddlers, are being brought up in gender-friendly environments. And again, it's one of those things nobody in Scotland seems to fucking know what's going on.
Yeah, it's absolutely fucking nuts.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, and I don't know, did the SNP actually put this on their manifesto?
Wait, I'll get a link for you. 2 seconds. No, they what they did was they spoke about they were expanding childcare.
All right,
What
yes.
they don't tell you is what it encompasses, and
Yeah.
I'm going to put the link for you now. You don't need to post it for screen share, but read it in your own time or share it, whatever. It's up to yourself. Point being, though, that this is what they're doing. So I'm getting it now because I shared it. I made a video on it actually. So
This is a problem. Even whenever there is something that sounds like it could be a good policy, it gets ruled out in the fucking heaviest way.
No, well, like free childcare is in and of itself. If you take away the malevolence that's hidden behind it, that's fine. That's actually a good policy. But there's deviance behind it, because what it's predicated on is the fact that they intend to go after these little kids to break down this gender stereotypes. But they don't talk about that when they preach to the choir about their our ventures into expanding free childcare. They don't tell you that. They don't tell parents that. They don't tell the press that. But it's hidden within their fucking rhetoric. I'm getting the link there. Shit, there it is. Right, I'm sending it the new. There we go. 2 seconds. There we go. Promoting gender equality in the early learning years, which of course is nursery. There you go. I've shared it in the StreamYard chat. Like, look at it. You know,
It hasn't come up yet.
what are you saying, bud? Sorry.
It hasn't come up in the StreamYard.
And check the private chat. Like,
oh right, I'm with you now. Right now, I'm with you. Yes. One momento.
Fucking Davey, man. I love it. Well, Glaswegian Davey. He's fucking hilarious. He's pissed. He's pissed out of his face. It's like the comments he's been sending me the net and Telegram are fucking funny. Oh, Jesus. Aye, yeah. So, I mean, as I say, I'll also send you the video off it. It was a clip I took from Parliament where they speak explicitly about it. There's it in the private chat. I mean, as I say, you don't need to play that tonight. Just look at it at your own volition. That's what they're doing.
All right. There's quite a lot of them. That I don't think we really want to start getting fully into that.
Oh, you can play if you want to play the video. You can play the video, like, because
the video's got 1 minute
long, like it's only 3 minutes long. Where they say it, it's there. So,
yep, right. I'm going to grab that.
It's if I'm not mistaken, it should be about 1 minute 43 minutes in where the second question gets asked, and that's where it's expressed what they're doing. So there you go. It's only 1.5 minutes you have to listen to, actually.
Yep. Where am I? What's that one? Sure. Play.
Okay.
Can the Cabinet Secretary set out further what steps have been taken to ensure women's tech business play a full and leading part in transforming Scotland's tech sector? And what does she think success will look like? Cabinet Secretary.
Well, the Tech Ecosystem Fund has been supporting multiple events run by and for women, with over £160,000 of funding given to Women's Enterprise Scotland, Female Founders Squad, Mint Ventures, and other organisations who are providing learning and peer networking opportunities and helping to overcome some of the challenges faced by women in tech. There is a clear gender gap in business participation in Scotland. Closing that gap, unlocking the full economic potential of women in enterprise, will have a transformative impact on Scotland's economic performance. And we certainly have, as part of our commitment to fund £50 million worth of support towards women in enterprise, will be considering how we better close that gap. And that's where Anna Stewart's work, who obviously as an experienced entrepreneur is so critical when it comes to that independent short life review of the support landscape for women. What does success look like? Success looks like 50% of women businesses, female businesses. It looks like equal participation and equal sharing of the opportunities amongst women and men when it comes to technology.
Tess White to be followed by Brian Whittle. Thank you, Presiding Officer. The Logan Review highlights that on average, 84% of students studying higher computing science are male in any given year. What action is the Scottish Government taking to address the chronic gender imbalance in computing science at school level, which has resulted in a huge loss of talent from the workforce pipeline for tech startups? Cabinet Secretary.
Absolutely. So there's clear recommendations to contend with that.
Here we go.
Some of the recommendations I've already referred to in previous answers. Some of them are around overcoming gender stereotyping in early years. So this is where...
Wait.
Hold on. We're coming back to that. Can I just interrupt you? All you fucking crazy bitches, and say... the last time I looked, 60% of all third level graduates are female. And what are you going to do to redress that imbalance? And have you realized that the point that what you're attempting to do here by getting more women into STEM subjects will further increase that discrepancy? So just want to put that in, and then we'll go back and listen to crazy bitch here.
Well, the fact is, even for the women that do end up going into these subjects due to coercion, they drop out in their early 20s. Yes. They might very well go through the university degree, but they drop out because it's just not what they want to do.
Also, they were talking about having a transformative effect on business and commerce. They do realize that totally fucking the whole thing up by having people running businesses that shouldn't be anywhere near running a business is transformative, but not necessarily good.
Amen.
But anyway, right, we shall continue with Crazy Catwoman.
Young women like Tony Scullion's work is so critical, because being able to provide that extracurricular activity that creates equity of access to opportunities to learn is so important, alongside seeing role models, seeing female founders, celebrating female computing science teachers is critical to all of this. So right now, Education Scotland have a dedicated team that are working with schools and with early learning centres specifically to try and deal with that early gender stereotyping, and then to ensure that that carries on throughout primary school and throughout high school, and ultimately into the university years as well. So there's specific interventions I can refer to in terms of the work that Education Scotland's doing, Tony Scullion's doing, the extracurricular activity. But I think there's a bigger issue around the visibility of successful women in technology and successful female entrepreneurs to inspire young women to see themselves.
See, Education Scotland, they've got a team set up to tackle the gender stereotypes in early learning settings, which, of course, as I said, is the SNP's, free childcare, early learning, childcare is all free, taxpayer free, etc. You don't need to pay. Just place your children in our care. What's happening? Education Scotland, gender neutral environments. Why? To eradicate the gender stereotypes. It's feminist fucking poison.
Well, here's the thing. She mentioned something about visibility of people in certain positions. Has she had a look in primary schools lately and see that they are bereft of male teachers? And would you like to have a look at that and try to redress that imbalance in order that some of those male children might think, whenever I grow up, I would like to be a primary school teacher and impart my knowledge to the next generation?
No, of course.
I'm guessing that's a no.
Of course not. It's not how it works. It's not.
No.
You know, there's a clip that I've got somewhere, and I don't know if it's on my Telegram or YouTube, so I'm not going to go and find it. But there was a feminist who works for the Scottish government, and she actually admitted that like the main reason that their point of contention for disparities is that women don't go into job roles on average, statistically speaking, that pay enough. You know, so that's really what it boils down to. It's like they want women to go into job roles that pay more, but yet they don't simultaneously advocate for men to go into, you know, roles that pay more, or vice versa. It's just totally feminist dominated in this country.
We have a problem in this, not in this country, in the Western world, whereby boys born to a single mother probably do not meet a male figure in authority until the police are doing them for something.
Yeah.
Because they grew up in a house bereft of male people. They go to school and it's a female dominated environment, and then the first time they meet a male of any sort of authority, it's a policeman that's picking them up for doing something.
Yeah, I won't say anymore. I can relate to that to a certain extent. Sensum, I don't know if you've got anything to add to my fantastic clips.
I've got something.
Okay.
And
Oh no!
I don't know if you'd want to. I don't know, because once again, you know, this is.
Are you going to be a misogynist?
We're
Yes.
3 hours in. You'll get away with pretty much anything.
Okay. Well, I've shared the screen, right?
No.
And this is a lady who's a fire woman, you know, a firefighter woman. And as you can see there, you've got old Bullet there from, you know, what was it called? the police, Christopher, not Christopher, one of the Ecclestons from the police show that used to be on in the 80s. And this lady here, right? This is a firewoman. This is a product of our misogyny. And I'll just play a little bit of it, So basically, she has to. She's a firewoman.
Come on, Jen. Remember the elbow.
That's it. Go on, firewoman. That's it. Go on.
Big run.
Give it the big run up. Go on. Oh, I'm dying.
So close. As fast as you can.
Oh, no. Yes.
Oh.
Right, and I'll stop it. I'll stop it there. But let's. She just didn't quite make it. No, let's have a look at some bloke who's not a fireman. Oh, look, there you go.
No trouble with the same stuff.
He's not even a fireman. Well, there you go. He's got the key.
Is this like some sort of critical maze game?
It was a program called Fort Boyard. Yeah.
All right. Yes.
Back in the day, which literally was Crystal Maze for Idiots, and like I say, they've got this woman, bigging up, professional firefighter, Jane Gusset Snatcher. She'll be great at this particular program. First thing was like, let's get the firewoman to bust down these doors. And she couldn't even get past the first one, and then you just get some rando bloke, sort of Percy fucking fidget snatcher. Yeah, get Percy on. Percy, I bet you're going to be shit at this. Boom, first door, first time. Boom, second door, second time. Boom, third door, third time. Gets the key, runs out. That's a record. We've never had anybody do that. It's like you literally couldn't make it up. Honestly, it's like, and it's literally like the fucking, it's the best thing in the world you'll ever see ever. And like I say, if you point out these inconsistencies, between the sexes, and that was that was a video by Dr. Steve Turley. And he's not just sort of doing the physical side, but it's the other sides as well. But when I saw that literally got dropped today by Dr. Steve Turley, and it was literally like when men don't hold back. That was the term that was used by his video. And the first video that they showed, it was this mixed 4x400 meter relay. And I think it was the Polish team. They decided they were going to run their men folk first, so that the anchor legs would be run by the women folk. So basically, the first sort of 800 meters was basically trounced by these two Polish fellas. And then when they come into the third leg of the 4x400 meter runners, you've got the women handing over to the Germans, the women handing over to the British, the women handing over to, whoever it was. I think it was the Europeans, so probably like Spanish, whoever. Yeah. And the head start that the Polish ladies had was like, you like looking at it and say, well, that's fucking, look at the state of that. They're never going to win here. And literally every single bloke, like on the next, because like I say, it was 4x4, so it was 1,600 meters. So after 800 meters, the women had like a fucking mile advantage, and yet the leading lady was the Polish lady, like ended up fucking flat last. She didn't even beat the last, because like I say, the two. They thought, oh yeah. Say what we'll do. We'll top load the fellas on the thing.
Yeah,
So they're running around this 800-meter bloody course, and when they handed over to the men to do the next two, well, basically the other teams had done. I think it was woman, man. Yeah,
yeah. Everybody else had done the same.
Woman. Yeah.
So there was everybody else in the race had women running against women, apart from this one team that was out of sync, and they got this fucking humongous lead, and the men just ran past them like they were stopped.
Yeah, it literally was like that, and then it goes on to these different competitions, and like I say, this Fort Boyard, which I remember because it had like this pretty British lassie. I can't remember her name, but she was like one of the presenters, and it had that Eccleston. It's not Christopher Eccleston because he was the Doctor Who character, but it was the bloke out of what was it called? You know, the police bloody show that was on on our shores through the 80s and 90s. I can't remember what it's called. It was massive anyway because it used to be on after Coronation Street. And it literally was like, this lady, this lady here, she's a firewoman. She'll save you. She'll be the best thing in since sliced bread. And we've got this like specially crafted mission where you've got to bust down doors, and they weren't even like doors; they were cantilever weights. So they weren't even like held in by. They were just literally static weights. This woman boom, moved it about an inch. And then you get some rando bloke the next time, like, oh, do you fancy doing this? Yeah, no bother at all. And he was like, some fucking bean counter from Bermondsey or whatever, runs up to the first door that this woman spent like the neck end of 2 minutes trying to drop down, busts through it, goes to the next one, busts through it, goes to the next one, busts through it. And like Eccleston goes, oh, that's the fastest thing we've ever seen. It's like, yeah, because you believe the narrative that we're all just the same. It doesn't matter who you are or what you are. And another part of that particular video is that they had a single man MMA bloke, probably not even one of the world beaters, and they had two MMA women. And they had the two women sort of pinning down this bloke and everything. And he just fucking made twiglets out of them. And yet what they were doing was interspersing comments where like videos where they had like CNN News going, yeah, girl, you demand the same wage, don't you? Hell yeah. Well, do the same fucking better work then. Fucking useless. That's what you're. But it's not. The thing what I'm trying to say is it's not that we should be besmirch men versus women or vice versa. They even showed an interview which has probably been suppressed, which was an interview with Serena Williams being interviewed by I can't remember his name, some famous bloody night jockey, Letterman, David Letterman, that was it, yeah. So Serena Williams being interviewed by David Letterman on primetime TV in the United States. Serena Williams, probably the greatest female tennis player of all times. And she comes on, she goes, look, there's been a lot of hype about me and Andy Murray, and our good old British. He's not Scottish, he's British until he loses Resisting the Lies. Then he's Scottish, obviously, Andy Murray. But yeah, and she was saying, like, Andy Murray, like, he keeps on saying, let's have a match. And Serena Williams, irrespective of how great she is in female tennis, she turned around and said, look, I don't want to get beat 6-love in the space of 10 minutes against Andy Murray, because that is literally what would happen. And she said that openly on David Letterman. Now, if that isn't an indictment of all of this bullshittery of how the sexes are perfectly equal to one another, then I don't know what is. And I've always maintained, they talk about these trans women being in firemen and police. I tell you now, if I'm ever caught in a bloody towering inferno and I'm getting rescued by a woman, I want it to be a trans woman, because half the time they'll probably stand a chance of busting that fucking door down.
There's a guy on YouTube, Terrence Pop, Redonkulous.com, ex Green Beret, ex Army Ranger, he was serving out in Iraq, and he was like a sergeant in this unit, and he was going part of his job was he had to go on a convoy from one place to another quite regularly, and they gave him a female driver, and he goes back and says, "Yeah, that's not happening." So what I mean, and she's not being my driver. You may get somebody else. So why? He says, because there's no way she's pulling me and my kit out of that vehicle if something goes wrong. So you can bugger off and get me a meal. And they did right enough.
Hey boys, I'm gonna fuck off. I'm getting really tired of that.
Yeah, well,
I'm going to wrap this up now anyway.
Well, if you want to wrap up now, I did post a fantastic link. If not, I need to go on.
Right. How long's this video?
It's 4 minutes. I can give you a better one though if you want, but I do need to bugger off if not.
Right.
Give me 2 seconds. This one here. This one's 3 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I've already got this one. We'll do that.
Okay. Right. No bother.
Has that shared? It has. Right. Good.
Very much, President. I've just learned that Pat has just his 65th birthday. So happy birthday, Pat. Just going to show that he hasn't been here quite for the whole 125-year history of the STUC. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Roz. Thanks to all of you to be here with you, to be back here in person after a couple of acknowledgements. Firstly, I think it's appropriate to recognise that the STUC has always been a proudly and illegal invasion. Trade unions have been steadfast in recent weeks in showing solidarity with Ukraine, in urging as long as possible, have also been involved in efforts to provide aid for Ukraine. And so I want to lining this point, given the time, very proud and distinguished history overseas and being at the forefront of comes to Scotland for people who need refuge and sanctuary. And in that spirit, I am pretty certain that all of you will be as appalled as I am at the... Secondly, our taxi branch, I'm sure you will all agree, are all outstanding union reps. Unions every single day contribute to and enhance the well-being of the fellows, refer to work done understandably, refer to the health, the safety and the job security. Particularly with union reps, ministers were discussing strategic issues to our meetings with individual trade unions. So I know down to the effort of strategic issues with the STUC and General Council members. Discussing strategic issues with the SPUC and members on a twice-weekly basis, and that was in addition to our meetings with individual trade unions. But it is also, I know, down to the efforts of every part of Scotland. Thank you for everything you have done, everything you continue to do for your members and for workers throughout the country. This conference celebrating the 125th anniversary of the STUC, and congratulations on that. Doubt at all that the role trade unions have played in the modern history of Scotland, the role you continue to play in the life of the future. As we contemplate the challenges and, of course, the opportunities that we face as a country in the years ahead, it is abundantly clear that the role of trade unions is absolutely vital. In many ways, in fact, your work work will be more important than perhaps it has. And that's partly because the pandemic has exposed, and as we know, again, that work which is invaluable to the lives of people, especially vulnerable people across the country, is undervalued in terms of pay and status. Much of that work, for example, in health, social care and essential
I'll
retail,
never
is
unsee
done
it.
predominantly by women. We must not ignore these inequalities. Instead, we must do much more to address them firmly and protect fair work in all sectors of our economy without exception. We must secure a just and fair transition to net zero so that we can also protect the planet for the generations to come after us. Misery that this crisis is causing. At the start of this month, we increased social security payments that we have control over in Scotland by 6%, almost double the increase, simply doubled the Scottish child payment to 20. The doubling immediately benefited more than 100,000 parents into well-paying, sustainable work. In addition, we've doubled this year's funding for the Home Energy Scotland programme, part of a wider set of measures, what other steps we can take. And we will also continue, and I hope you will have your support in doing so, to press the UK government to take further action, to take any meaningful action given the legal conditions to government grants, promoting fair work in the foundational economy, the essential retail, transport,
Yarn.
services.
Wow.
For example, fair work is at the heart of our new retail strategy, and let me acknowledge the in the foundational economy in all employment sectors. So fair work must be the hallmark of Scotland's economy. But I am determined, and I know this is a determination shared by all of you, that we do much better in the future. Our transition to becoming a net zero economy must be a fair one. We mustn't leave people, communities or regions behind. And that's a cause that the STUC has argued passionately for. Unions in that promise £1 billion of supply chain that we know we will benefit from the scrutiny, challenge and at times criticism of £1,000 to cover staffing costs, your theme for this year. Proud of us to stress that the cry of people who feel themselves the victim of the my heart once again for
I'm sorry
everything
to do
you
this.
do.
My point is though, see when I watched that fucking stream from start to finish, it was that moment I noticed that she talks with her hands and it's this arm flap thing, and ever since then I just cannot unsee it. She does it all the time. Like all the time. It's so I apologize. No, you will never unsee it. That's my gift to you.
Humza hates speech. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates speech.
Oh, brilliant.
At the party conference, we nippy at the helm. Blackfoot stuck in Westminster, the rest of them downtown. They had a buffet lunch with all those lovely things, but just before the salad bar, they heard poor Humza scream. Oh, Humza hates peach. Humza hates peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates peach. Humza hates peach. Humza hates peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates peach. You shouldn't even be here. They heard old Humza shout. You're just a furry nectarine. I think I'll throw you out. You come here in your millions. I wish you were the last. You're not allowed to stay here, cause we were never asked. Oh, Humza hates peach. Humza hates peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates peach. Humza hates peach. Humza hates peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates peach. You say I don't belong here, you nasty offy man. Most folks say that they like me, I know you're not a fan. Yes, I am a foreign fruit, that much is very true. But by your double standards, I'm just as such as you. Oh, Humza hates peach. Humza hates peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates peach. Humza hates peach. Humza hates peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates peach. Humza hates peach. Humza hates peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates peach.
Look, I do not sound like groundskeeper Willie, right? I mean white. No, right. Oh, to hell with the lorries. White.
We're all in a funny half hour. Oh, fuck. Right.
Sorry.
On that, Jam, I think we're going to wrap this up. and given what's just been, I've figured out my outro song. It's an old one, but it's still good. But anyway, so last thoughts from you two gentlemen.
Well, for me, it'll be good to get back to the into the swing of things. So tomorrow night I will be back as second chair, as Sensen would say, and I believe that it's William coming back on again. On for he'll be third chair because Clive he's so popular now, so it's up to him when he chooses to provide us with some of his time. But nah, all jokes aside, be good to get back in the swing of things, and I'm intent to do that. So yeah, make sure you tune in to Sunday with the lads because I'll be back, motherfuckers.
Excellent. Sansom?
I'll be back 8:30 p.m. Uzi 9mm.
Yes.
I'd just like to say cheers for allowing me my little indulgences there, 42. Great stream as always. Thank you very much for bringing to our attention, one thing once again that I didn't realise, which was the first thing, the old West Witten Festival. Thank you. I didn't know, like I say, misunderstood the region, but appreciate the sentiment. And then obviously bog snorkeling and mountain bike bog snorkeling, which was an absolute revelation. So thank you very much for that. Thank you also for bringing to our attention the other historical bits and bobs that you normally do, which is great. And I know you like to sort of assuage those things for the first 20 minutes for obvious reasons. But, thank you very much, sir. It's been an absolute pleasure with yourself and DJ as always. And I'll just say this. Good night, folks. And God bless.
Sansom and Sensibility, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. Am I correct?
Yes, I'm speaking with Illuminatus, and we're going to be talking about fantasy novels. Not everybody's cup of tea, but they're little subjects that not everybody's cup of tea, but they all often make for decent little conversation points. Put it that way.
Oh, I'm back on night shift next week, so I'll not be in the chat of any of the midweek streams because I'll be away doing my bloody work. Oh well, but it has to be done. So Sansom on Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. Resistant Lies going to be on with Scotch Armour on tomorrow night, and also use of Rags to look forward to. I believe that's starting at 7 with Nice Cat, Mr. Me in it, and always a good conversation there. Sansom, DJ, thank you very much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm going to get some music on.
Yeah. Was the music no good enough? Like, nah, I'm joking.
Right.
I'll just say before you go, like, I've been on quite a few times now. Been a pleasure, but I'm hurting tired, like, so yeah.
Right, all good. Here we go. Bit of music.
On the 23rd of June in 2016, the people of the United Kingdom and Gibraltar went to vote on an issue that for some had been burning for years. The question in full and unaltered was, and
I quote,
should the United Kingdom remain a member of the European Union or leave the European Union? was the greatest democratic turnout in British history. I do not scoff. And when the time came to speak, the British said,
Fuck off.
Fuck
off.
This is like dad joke material here, like.
Campaigning had gone on for many a month, with debate and discussion on many a front. They'd argued, they'd fought, they had smeared and pulled stunts. There was David Cameron, Theresa May, George Osborne, Tony Blair, John Major, the BBC. The British told them to fuck off. The British told them to fuck off. If you vote to leave, you'll lose your job. Vote to leave, you'll lose your home. The ensuing recession will last for years. So David Cameron, Theresa May, George Osborne and the Treasury, John Major, the BBC, the Bank of England, Mark Carney, the EU, the IMF, the US President, St. Obama, back of the queue, loads of celebrities, Gary Lineker, J.K. Rowling, Benedict Cumberbatch, Lord Adonis, who the fuck's he anyway?
Who the fuck is he anyway?
British told them to fuck off. 17 million fuck-offs. They wheeled in the experts to tell us what's right. They gave us the benefit of their foresight. To leave is calamitous, that's definite. Food shortages, no medicine, planes grounded, a house price crash, 500,000 jobs lost, cost of £4,300 to every home, stock market collapse, riots, no sandwiches, there'd be an outbreak of super gonorrhea. They seriously said that. The EU said it would be the end of Western civilization as we know it. I'm not joking. And one more thing, if you vote to leave, that makes you racist. The British told them to fuck off. 17 million fuck off. The vote is final, there's no going back. Although now they want to go back and re-vote. I think we know what the answer will be. To Gary Lineker, Alistair Campbell, Dominic Grieve, Chugru Marna, Keir Starmer, Vince Cable, Anna Soubry, Rory Bremner, Armando Iannucci, Delia Smith, Steve Coogan, David Lammy, Lord Adonis, who the fuck's he anyway?
Who the fuck is he anyway?
17 million
fuck-offs.
All right, lads. Thanks to the guests. I've been 42. The chat's been fucking wonderful. And see you all next week. Good night. God bless.
Adios.